It has all been coming down to this.
We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion.
Oh my, what an incredible moment.
We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion. Time short, no time for relaxing. Be the first and last out, make it happen. We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion. Time short, no time for relaxing.
Without further ado, let's get brawling.
Hello, what's good, and welcome to another monthly finals. It's Brawl Stars time, and we're chilling in the APAC region. It's your boy F. Dot, and I'm joined here by Kenny and Reddy. Kenny and Reddy, how you doing? Reddy, you go first.
Dude, I'm excited, right? We're back here for the region that's produced the last 3 World Finals champions in a row. You simply cannot do better than this.
Not at all. Kenny, how you doing, buddy?
It's good to be here. I'm glad we are up and running for one of my favorite regions to always watch. Always some interesting picks here. Everybody's so unique and such a passionate region too, and very deserving of course world champions being born here all the time. Can't wait to see the talent go through.
Let's break down what we're going to get into today. We have a couple of different regions, and they're all going to be working out this way. So it's power match format, the same thing as you're used to. We've got the top 8 single elimination bracket. We're going to be showing you the good stuff of those brackets. The top 8 we do elsewhere. And then, of course, best of 5s, baby. It is best of 5s all the way through. So no, oops, we kind of made it. And as I said, APAC is a collection of different regions. We've got Southeast Asia, India, and then of course East Asia itself as well. So we're going to be watching the grand finals of the Indian region and SEA, but then when it comes to East Asia, we'll be watching both semis and the grand finals all told. So should be a lot of fun out here today. Ready? I'm excited to kind of jump right on in. This is the way the bracket looked like when we started with respects to SEA. Now it's down to Team Flash and Rising Sun.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rematch from last month because we see Team Flash, Rising Sun, SEA going head-to-head once again. But Team Flash, this is a roster that we're familiar with from the last month. So it's a total grudge match. In fact, a lot of this entire region has turned out pretty much the same as far as the bracket goes. So how fucking go?
Rising Sun has been a strong team in this region pretty much the entire way through, so it's been kind of fun watching them do their thing for sure. We'll take a look at India and then East Asia when we get there. So let's go ahead and start our meal here, our first course being SEA. And as I said, Rising Sun, Kenny, this has been the team to look at in this region for sure.
Yeah, Rising Sun has been a really awesome team to watch, and Team Flash as well too. I think a very deserving pickup for them as well, getting signed by an organization after especially the success they've had so far in the year. I think there's some really impressive players and some good guys too. I think it's just a really awesome thing to see more organizations get back involved in Brawl Stars as well.
Always a good look for sure. Ready? You got any tidbits into this region?
Hey, look, I'm just looking at Team Flash primarily. It looks like we're all looking at Team Flash. I mean, look, I promise in this regard, I'm not just copying Kenny's homework because we all know Kenny went perfect on his predictions in this region last month. But seems like we're all on the Team Flash gravy train. I think it's 100% deserved.
Yeah. I wrote the wrong thing. I got to ride with it now. But I legitimately wanted to see Rising Sun. My prediction in my brain. Oh man, shout out to my buddy Spaceman. He has this thing with his like brain, but it's his heart prediction. And like, I wanted to go Rising Sun, but I literally typed Team Flash. I'm looking at me typing to the production team. So clearly, you know, my brain was not working with my heart over here. But, you know, Team Flash, all right, you two went with Team Flash. I guess I did as well. Kenny, why Flash over Rising Sun?
I mean, after last month especially, I think it was a pretty convincing victory for me. I talked about this on Twitter the other day for along with Mr. Brawl Esports, but JA Prime response, a very solid roster. Team Flash getting in the mix too. They clearly see the talent that these guys have. Very deserving pickup, like I mentioned too. I think these guys just kind of showed me what they've gotten. Until proven otherwise, I'm just riding with Team Flash until they lose, to be honest with you. These are longtime players as well, no strangers. Response especially going to be a well-known name in this region. I think they've just got what it takes to go the distance. Not to say that Rising Sun Prime can't. Also an insane team, but I'm just going to stick it safe. Going to go Team Flash. The analytical part of my brain just refuses to get off them right now.
So Response is the player to look at here, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's made himself quite a name over the years. Very talented. Not to say that any of them aren't, but I think a lot of people as a household Brawl name will recognize Response.
Always a fun look, taking a look at these guys right in their position. Flash, of course, as you said, pretty substantial in this region, but CZK and the rest of Rising Sun, certainly a dominant force. As I said, this is kind of the team that I take home when it comes down to this region. I like the clear glasses. Big fan of it. Ready. Talk to me about Rising Sun.
I mean, well, aside from the, the clear glasses, which I can share an appreciation for. Rising Sun SEA, we saw them show up last month and honestly put on a pretty good performance, especially if we're talking in the pre-broadcast finals, if you got the chance to watch those community cast-wise. But in terms of the monthly finals, they did come and win 3 games overall within that match versus what is now the Team Flash roster, but we didn't seem to see that strong of a performance from them, and I think a lot of that could be owed simply to the opponent that they had across the way. So I'm excited to see what they've accomplished in the last month, what kind of new metal they're going to be bringing, and also how they plan to take advantage of the new mechanics introduced in the game, particularly the indestructible walls and also RT, of course, being a mix.
Ooh. Yeah, this is going to be the first time that we get a chance to really see RT, and it's the first chance that we don't get to see Kenny. So we'll see. We'll meet up with Kenny a little bit later for sure. He gave us some good insight into the SEA region. But now it's time for me and Ready to jump right on in. And as I said, Rising Sun have kind of been the team in this region, but Flash, winning last time around, has really risen, no pun intended, to the occasion here. And so how even? Are we looking at a 50-50 matchup, or is there some more nuance here?
I mean, I think there's always going to be nuance when you take a look at, two teams that are composed of individuals that work really, really hard to get here. But in terms of the outcome, I'm still fully expecting Team Flash, and I think that's echoed by a lot of the people watching as well, because Rising Sun, Team Flash have looked so dominant, and these players are quite storied as well. But, of course, we'll have to see how it plays out between the two as we get started on Hard Rock Mine. We'll see also who gets the first pick and what those bans are going to be. I'm certainly looking at some Rico gameplay, perhaps, but we also know that, it's about the dojo. Certain regions prefer certain things, so we'll see what these first selections are. Looks like we have the Ash ban from Rising Sun SEA. Pretty much stuff that you would expect also from them. Team Flash, interestingly, getting rid of the Poco as well.
Good ideas here to get rid of kind of standard operating procedure from Team Flash. I think Ruffs, Poco a little bit different. Poco, you don't have to play Poco double tank anymore, but Poco definitely tips your hand in a certain direction and where you want to play for sure. Whereas Stu and Ruffs, kind of general purpose brawlers. And so with that said, our first selection here is going to be Bo. Like the choice, Max across the way though, picking up some utility quick.
Yeah, Bo is pretty much always going to be a fairly good brawler. He can be quite versatile as well. I anticipate that Rising Sun SEA might lean to a different selection for whatever brawler they decide to place at mid. Troy is going to have to be careful, though, because Bo is pretty prone to getting rushed down by a brawler such as Max, so Rising Sun SEA may just have to about face and go for a different strategy, try and pivot into a different direction. It is going to be tough to face versus the Max, so they have some ways of dealing with the Max speed if they decide, yeah, we're going to play Crow or something here. Here's a Yotus, which I actually really do like. I think Rising Sun SEA are primarily gearing up at this point to deal with the tank because Team Flash does have that last pick. It's sort of the same mentality mirrored in why they chose to ban Ash.
Nice. Yeah, there's that Crow that you mentioned as well. And, I like this approach to breaking down the draft phase real quick. Troy, they first select the Bow. And they go, all right, listen, Hard Rock Mine, maybe we want to play some traditional sharpshooters. And then you get kind of soft countered over there. Like you said, characters that can really rush down the long range guys. And then you have 2 more selections to go ahead and pivot. If blue team doesn't decide to counter, then cool, stick to it and pick whatever you want. Bo, yeah, he can get rushed down by these 2 characters, but at the end of the day, he's just part of the greater whole, which in general can't. And so I like the choice here from Rising Sun to lead with the sharpshooter and then pivot into something different later on. Penny going to be rounding out the draft here for Response, Jay, and Prime. What's your take on Team Flash's comp?
Definitely do like it. I mean, you've got certainly an assortment of pretty good brawlers. I'm curious as to where the max is going to fit in. I anticipate it will be probably played as a mid, just is going to face some pretty stiff opposition going into Crow. Another thing that concerns me a little bit is how much value do they plan to get out of that drop the base gadget from Response, because I expect that's what he is running. And it can be shot down very quickly by Otis, who coincidentally is already on that left lane, ready to shut things down. X9J, though, going extremely aggressive up mid, looking to dodge out some of the shots from CZK, and getting extremely aggressive once again, shutting him down, almost getting the kill on the right side already.
Yeah, I like the choice here for Jay to go mid and just follow Bo. So CZK is now, I thought they were going to think about trading positions, sending the Bo over to the right-hand side, but not going to be the case, as Response have shoved Troy over there into the left side. Gets the kill. They focus on mid, and that'll open everything up. In fact, it's a team wipe. Lucky number 7 picked up by the Max player, and this one is relatively, let's say, dominant. Ready?
Dominant, is it chalked? I don't think it's over just yet, but Rising Sun SEA are definitely in a tough spot as they can get spawn trapped all the way at the back. Response now popping
another
fast gadget. Troye falls in the mix. Response really going down to the back lines to get that kill on the Bear. Did he really need to? Not at all, but you gotta flex that World Finals pin at some point. X9J, he's got gadgets upon gadgets to spare, and they're ending off this one, as you said, dominantly, with game number 1 already in their pocket.
Not a single gem picked up by the blue team, so or the red team rather. So Team Flash coming in here and well, they did it. So game number 1 in the pocket for sure. Just raw aggression. You know, we mentioned how the Max is going to be able to walk onto the Bow, and that's exactly what happened. And Rising Sun didn't really react to that, and because of that, it just opened up mid for Team Flash altogether, and Rising Sun never really got a chance to jump back in.
Well, we might get to see something different develop now that the lanes have switched up a little bit. Troy on the right side now face versus Prime rather than Response. But
was that the problem?
The last game, Response had a pretty easy time going into Troy. Prime going to do much the same. CZK also falls. Bear does get the double slow, but he's still trying to work on this turret. Rising Sun SEA, they do have a gadget that can shut it down quite easily, but it doesn't seem like they really want to use it. Here comes the speed from X9J, pushing and dodging out pretty much all of these shots from CZK, and even opting to move on to Troy. Won't miss that, or rather won't get that silence. Unfortunate. Response still fending off Bear on the left side, throwing down that gadget. Very aggressive move from X9J, luckily doesn't get punished. Team Flash remain in the lead.
Crow needed to get that kill right there. As I said, Team Flash's success has largely been off of mid-control. Game number 1, it was off of Jay's just raw aggression. Game number 2, I think, is really down to the sandwich lanes, the left and right sides of the map, just winning their matchup. Like, they're just brawling better, you know, at the end of the day. So 2 different approaches from Team Flash, but really I think Rising Sun just did not respond well to this situation. And because of that, we played 2 games of gem grab, and 20 gems go the way of red team, 0 on the side of Rising Sun. So an uphill battle for Rising Sun to start off with. And I guess, you know, I didn't put in the wrong prediction. That's exactly what I wanted to do, guys. Absolutely. Yep, totally. Real talk though, you know, I had identified that mid lane just situation, that dominance that really opened up the map. Do you agree? Or was there something else that really brought the win there for Team Flash?
I think it was pretty much spread out over the entire map. Everyone on Team Flash was winning their lane basically 100% of the time, moving as a collective unit, and I'm sure once we can see some stats, we'll see that supremely reflected. I want to focus in on CZK in particular because it looked like he was kind of stuttering around just a little bit, and we saw him stop moving entirely at the end of the last game. I hope it's not him disconnecting just a little bit, but even then, I mean, it's a well-deserved win for Team Flash. They look good 100% of this entire last set. Rising Sun SEA just were not able to, well, rise to the challenge.
Is there a world where CZK, the bow player, should have moved to a side lane? Or if you're the bow, you just have to play mid? There's really not another place to go?
If you ask me, it would have been worth a try because we've seen some of the best teams in the world run the Crow mid into the max, or just period. We saw the World Finals champions from last year do it in double swoosh, and I don't think it would have been the worst idea, but you know, you're facing versus a very good team, I imagine the pressure can sometimes just encourage you to go with what you know works usually.
True. Always easy to stick to the tried and true, because at the end of the day, if you lose playing a wild strategy, by the way, shout out Response for the 8 kills there. If you lose playing an off-meta strategy or something new, oh boy, you're gonna hear it in the comments later on. But if you lose doing the meta strat, we just lost, dude. So, and I am laughing and making a joke, but I am telling you, pro players across multiple games have literally told me that before. That playing on the big stage can take out some of your more interesting strategies. So, might be the case to think about. Anyway, new game, new slate, new score. 1-0 for Team Flash above all as we jump into our second set. And it's Gold Arm Gulch Knockout. We'll see Janet picked first of all. Love this character in Knockout. She can deal damage without being damaged herself in a game where her negative side, the fact that you usually land behind enemy lines, is kind of negated if you get your kill, because there are no respawns. So, Janet, very, very strong in Knockout, in my opinion.
Not only that, but also a pretty safe pick. You can play her very safely, as you put it. You can pop down the gadget and stay safe there, and also take to the skies if you want an escape plan, but more importantly, a very versatile pick that you're not going to lock yourself into some strategy that's going to get countered super hard by pick number 2 and 3. So I like this from Rising Sun to SEA. Now it's time for them to develop things a little bit and also make sure that they're not vulnerable versus that final pick from Team Flash. There are a lot of things that you can go for to counter out enemies. So Rising Sun, SEA, they've afforded themselves a bit of time. Here's the Max. They plan, it seems, to play this into the bow. We already saw how that could work in the last one. However, it's not the typical Gold Arm Gulch selection in the Brock. Yeah. This is a creativity, I think.
Which, you know, again, so I like this. I think if you are, we look at Team Flash, obviously everybody predicted Team Flash, they are the top card. They're not an auto win though. And so at the end of the day, when you're in, especially a smaller region where there's kind of a, we know this team is better than us type situation, do the odd stuff. On the one hand, Team Flash might be less prepared for it because they've played it against it less often. And on the other hand, you are much better at playing your own game than playing somebody else's, even if the meta is somebody else's. So we'll see how the max works out here on Gold Arm Gulch. Overall, I gotta say, I like Team Flash's composition better overall. Prime and Jay on the long-range shooters, and then Response with some utility there with the mute. So I like what Team Flash has to bring. The Rising Sun finishing things off with the Brock there.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, a scenario where you have good selections on your team. The Max, maybe not the greatest, mostly because Max, her success, I think, is really defined by which brawlers she has at either flank. And in this situation, I don't really see Brock being one of the best selections that you could have gone for, but Brock is, in a lot of cases, a must-have on this map. You have to break open some walls, particularly, looks like they're breaking open the bushes on the right side. I'm looking to use Rocket Fuel as that final nail in the coffin to shut someone down. Bear is getting some fairly good dodges at mid, but he's severely outranged. He needs to work on that very first super and then get some aggression off of there. CZK falls. Now Rising Sun SEA is in a 2v3.
Rising Sun kind of has the good positioning here, but it's a 2-on-3 as they corner Team Flash into that southwest quadrant. Forced to retreat now, as the gas starts to come in about a couple of seconds. And Bear still half HP. Can't get that full health bar all the way up. Great shots being found here by Team Flash. They isolate the individual and then leave Troy to find himself in the wings. So first round goes to Team Flash.
You need to see Bear get some good speed onto his teammates. We saw him pop 1 speed already, but unfortunately wasn't close enough to Troya to give him that speed, so it was just a solo, but here he comes once again. Can't pop it onto Troya. This would probably be the ideal target to place it onto, but since he is closer to CZK, that might be what he has to do. Potential kill shot in here. Response is very low, but Team Flash move collectively as a unit across the diagonal, moving towards the top right, also trying to maintain their positions. Rising Sun now all grouped up, ready to pop a speed, but they need to look for an opening before they go for this.
Troy went against Jay by himself and activated the super. I just don't think that's what you want to do. I think you want to use the super to kind of kill confirm and then follow up after the fact. Like I said, you're just not going to get punished. Rising Sun kind of stuck here on the right-hand side. CZK half HP, and Prime now paying attention, but it's Bear that finds the first kill. Nice snap check.
And mines to the top right as well. Sort of an emergency gadget popped by Troy. He's got one left in the chamber. Prime shuts him down with the gadget. A shield over to X9J to confirm the kill on the Bear on the bottom left. A pin up in the air, and wow. That was a complete shutdown the bottom left. You saw him sort of grind to a halt as well, just to let that sink in a little bit before ending off the game.
I mean, it's always rough when you lose the round of knockout that you got the first kill in. So, I know how that feels, brother. Team Flash now with one on the board. And Troy now on the left side might bode better. But again, Troy just locked by himself, can't help the teammate, and Bear first one to kill last time is the first killed this time.
Ooh, CZK on the right side could face some serious opposition. Here comes Prime in response, pinch him down, and Troy throws up the pin. He knows he's done for here, but he could at least leave here with the super. Gotta be cautious of that gadget, though Prime, I think, might not even think it's worth to pop a gadget to take him down, since he and his teammates can farm supers off of him. X9J is going to be the one he even collects that for some healing. Get his super. Now he's got mines ready to throw down at mid and prevent a lot of that movement for Rising Sun as they close in for the second round.
Yeah, good little, fundamentals there. Making sure that Prime backs off, let Jay get the kill, farm up some super. So the mines go out, and, well, great super, dude. Still scoreless here after a couple of seconds, but as soon as I say that, Troy eats it. And CZK close to death as well, but it's Bear that's got to run. CZK falls. The third does as well. I just predicted the future. Team Flash takes the round and the set, and very quickly find ourselves on match point.
Youch. Yeah, that was not a super strong showing from Rising Sun, unfortunately, and it looks like a bit of the momentum is starting to get to them too.
Yeah.
However, I still think there's potential to bounce back as we move into another game mode and can sort of pick up the pace, because it really looks like they wanted to play that max and go for something quite more aggressive. Sneaky Fields, I think, will be a perfect place for that to happen, but they're still on the brink of defeat. Just one game going to the other side puts them exactly there at match point. It's not a comfortable situation to be in, and I think more importantly, we can see that Team Flash, they're playing confidently. They're making the calls. We see X9J and Prime particularly working together on these pinches and working in unison repeatedly. Rising Sun, SEA, not really working in unison, I gotta say.
Completely agree. I noted it before as well. Bear and CZK seem to be a little bit more on the same page than Troy. Troy's out here kind of just pubbing, and we definitely saw some of the negative sides of that for sure. Nice replay over there from the boys on Team Flash. You saw CZK as soon as we got out of that one, kind of just like went, and like I felt that, man. Like I felt that exhale for sure. So unlucky, as we say here. So Rising Sun SEA not rising to the occasion so far, but as you said, they do have one more set to defend themselves. Could find ourselves in a fourth. And so it's going to be Brawl Ball this time around. Sneaky Fields. You've already kind of mentioned that the idea from Rising Sun, at least in the first set, Gem Grab, was pick the max, be aggressive. Or rather, that was Team Flash. Watching them jump onto Sneaky Fields should be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like both teams here are a bit partial to the max and making some stuff work there. More importantly, I think that you don't necessarily need a max to get extra speed here, because look at all those bushes everywhere. Those have speed gear written all over them if you're that kind of player. And if you want to play some tanks here, this is the opportunity to make it happen. But I think really the biggest thing is going to be, you got to see Rising Sun get that last pick. They've had first pick 2 times in a row, and they have not really been able to do a whole lot with it, unfortunately. They do get it this time. Lucky for them, they win that coin flip in a way. It's going to get a lot easier for them. But Team Flash, note which brawlers they've banned out too. They've gotten rid of Crow and also Sandy, which has grown a lot in popularity recently. But Rising Sun, SEA, they got to figure out
Why is that?
how exactly.
Why do we see more Sandy?
What is this?
Why do we see more Sandy recently?
I couldn't necessarily tell you. He did get a slight buff, and I think also some people are just now remembering that, you know, he was fairly decent before. Before when we weren't playing too much.
Yeah, I agree. Sandy used to be right below a mainstay, I'll say, particularly in Brawl Ball, and he kind of just went away. And I always like these. I know that a very small buff on the side of Sandy just kind of reminded folks, oh yeah, guy's really good. But we're halfway through the draft. Sandy banned, so we've got the Otis on the one side, and then some B and Janet for Rising Sun. B going to provide some long range damage as well as Honey Molasses. That's what I'm thinking of mainly for sure. Bear on the stunt woman one more time. I honestly might have gone a little bit more control-oriented, but I guess Rising Sun wants to see what Team Flash is going to choose before they pick full control.
Well, that's bold. Go for the Rosa, go for the Buster. I mean, there are plenty of good options to go with when you're in bushes. Rosa, I mean, this is where she calls her home, right? Inside of the bushes. She even gets additional healing for being inside of the bushes. If you decide to run that star power, which most people choose to do. Buster, also just a good brawler overall, but what makes me a little bit concerned is that, you know, Team Flash, they're choosing to play this into the B, and Rising Sun could go for a wall breaker. There it is. I mean, it had this, the wall breaker was kind of written all over this comp. As soon as you see B and there's another selection available, you have to anticipate a wall breaker of some sort. But Team Flash, it seems like really their strategy is going to be, let's run it down. Let's completely disregard any wall break, because also keep in mind, Rising Sun, they could have gone for something that has that wall break on cooldown like Colonel Ruffs, but instead they went for Griff, who only has 3 wall breaks per game. It's a little concerning to me, but it's still possible for Rising Sun. It just looks too confident on the side of Team Flash.
I agree as well. I think Sneaky Fields and Rosa go together like peanut butter and jelly. I just think this is the right selection for this map. And then they kind of double down by going Buster. He falls down here. And good aggression here from Rising Sun as they get the first blood. And honestly, they've pushed their enemy out as well. A lot of good damage, but not a lot of forward momentum there. As Bear lands another kill, but ultimately won't get much out of it as Jay's able to find one on the other side.
Jay's putting the work seriously. Keeping Bear and CZK at range. Prime might find an opportunity on the left side, and CZK just stays alive by the skin of his teeth. Response now receiving the pass. Troy needs to get that slow. He almost got his ankles broken a little bit with Response trying to pass it around the left side. Thankfully, he was able to pick up that ball and toss it in the back left. A little SK strategy here, corner the ball, see how long they can stall things out. But with how aggressive Team Flash are capable of playing, it might not be long-lived. Here it is, a kill on the right side, a full team wipe, and a goal for Team Flash.
Oh my goodness! I was laughing because Response really wanted to hit that first shot, and you saw him just get mad, dropping pins and spinning, just mad at himself. Well, this is how I expected this comp to go. Just as we say in the biz, hold W. You know, you're just walking forward, beat, dude. Prime finds the second goal of the contest, and we find ourselves on match point. Yeah, man, that feels good, doesn't it? That's Jay right there, playing for Team Flash. He's enjoying himself.
Yeah, all smiles and laughs from this dude, and hey, they're kind of crushing Rising Sun SEA here. I still have some faith in Rising Sun SEA, but they haven't won a single game so far. It could be the steamroll incoming. They're the only ones who can stop it. Bear, he throws down the gadget on the right side to try and stifle Response's push. Here he comes around the right. Still no kill as he keeps on charging up that super. 2 drop the base, gadgets pop down, and Bear gets 2 elims on the left. This could be Rising Sun SEA bringing back some control of mid, but we've already seen 2 gadgets expended by Bear. It's not a very good outlook.
That's what I was going to mention as well. Just Team Flash gets wiped, and partially because they were a little bit of hubris. I think they went a little hard there, but at the same time, that's kind of just the other side of the coin. This composition only works if you kind of go all in, and sometimes you get wiped for going all in. Other times, you get the 2-on-1 Response with the kill, and the goal after the fact. Jay with the martyrdom shot. It's 1-0 with 90 on the clock.
That was miscommunication entirely for Rising Sun SEA. Bear, he very much could have shifted in front and not dependent on a teammate to end up defending that ball, but they just didn't spawn in time. They can still bring things back, though. A minute 15 on the clock. CZK tries to come around the left side and get some good shots versus Prime. He's able to break open some walls, too. Why are you hitting yourself as he shoots 3 volleys of shots right into Prime's shield, reflected upon? Rising Sun SEA have to fall back to the backlines now.
Oh my goodness, Prime, thank you. I was like, you can't dodge all that, homie. Rising Sun now on the aggressive side. Ball still in mid, but largely a technicality. Rising Sun could push it forward, but why? They don't really have a moment here. Honey Molasses dropped, interestingly. As Bear shoots it forward. That's a better one, but it's immediately taken care of. That said, Troy finds a kill. Response close to death, but it's him dealing the death. Bear shows up as well. Can't find the hidden Rosa. And just like that, Team Flash with a great defensive set.
And Team Flash, they're precisely where they need to be. A takedown onto Troy. They're all the way at the enemy side. Touchdown and just 10 seconds left for Team Flash to bask in the limelight as they've done it. They've beaten Rising Sun SEA. They are your monthly finals champions here in SEA.
Great work here from Team Flash, just going to work, clock it in and clock it out, and looking forward to the future. These are the teams that, you know, they have to come in here and do their business, stay sharp month by month, and celebrate with a little bit of Brucey there. Love to see the family fun for sure. But at the end of the day, you know, it comes down to this is the type of excellence. This is how you find yourself in the finals, at Worlds, at the big show. You've got to do this each and every time, and that's when things get a little scary. So you take a look at Team Flash here in the Southeast Asian region. If you're from outside the region, you got to start asking some questions and definitely taking notes.
Precisely, and also analyzing what exactly Rising Sun SEA is doing, because while we do see Team Flash taking them down quite dominantly here, Rising Sun SEA swept the entire other side of the bracket, so there's definitely something worth analyzing here. But Team Flash, it seems like they really do know how to shut down Rising Sun. And another thing to note is it looked like Rising Sun seriously did start to give into momentum at some point.
Yeah. I think, as I said, we saw CZK on camera after the second set, and there was definitely a lot of the wind out of the sails for sure. Look at the DPS on Rising Sun. A lot of damage going the way of Team Flash, but obviously Team Flash had giant HP bars by picking tanks, and then of course after the fact, well, it's all good if you deal damage. How do you find the extra shot? You got to actually kill these players to open up the world. And so that's what we saw out of Team Flash. Nice stuff here as response to big man on the blue side.
Response, I mean, MVP here. He was MVP in the World Finals in 2020. So just another one to add to the list, to the tally for this guy. Another day in the office here on Team Flash. What a great showing, a very strong performance from Team Flash. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they compete on the world stage if they keep this momentum going, because they have to make it through the LCQ in order to make it there. But with this kind of dominance, I'm kind of convinced.
I think so too. Welcome back, Kenny. After we just watched that, it's been about 35 seconds. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I know I predicted Team Flash, and obviously F. You were all on board too, very committed from the get-go on this strategy, but
yep.
I want to know what these guys put in their cereal this morning. I'm going to shoot them a DM. I need to be taking some of that because my Brawl Stars does not look nearly that good. I am taking notes. That was an absolute dominant performance.
And again, like Reddy brought up, Rising Sun sweeps the other side of the entire Southeast Asian monthly finals bracket. And so they are not exactly a sleeping dog, but Team Flash are the ones eating pork buns today. So a nice look for sure at the, I guess that's orange and white for Team Flash. They lead the region as well, 2-1-2. Shout out to the hometown area code for me. Rising Sun, though, trailing by just a couple of points. And that's what I'm talking about. 50 points separating those two squads. Did very well in the quarterfinals, getting themselves 112 points. And Umbrella reforged in that 4th position for sure. But Team Flash and Rising Sun, I think, are the takeaways from this region ready. Although in that finals, Rising Sun did not seem to be able to hold a candle to what Team Flash has been able to do. I think this was more of a... This is not indicative of what we can expect out of Rising Sun Esports. Straight up, all right. I think they're usually better. I think this was an off day. That's what I'm trying to say.
I see. Well, and honestly, I'm kind of in that boat with you as well, because even when they last played this team, they were able to get at least 3 games off of them. So these teams are a match for each other. I certainly expected more from them. However, I'm kind of excited to see what they go for in the next month, because this stuff builds character, right? And this also is, I mean, good footage to roll back and coach yourself on for the next month. It's just, it's going to be kind of challenging picking yourself back up after this one and still coming at this with the same medal.
It builds character. Thanks, Dad. Moving on from one region to the next. SEA in the books. And now it's time for a brand new region. We're jumping over to India. It's been fun watching these teams kind of develop and do their thing. There are some known names in this region. Revenant Esports and True Rippers started the season really strong, but Marcos Gaming has really stood up and has been challenging a lot of these, well, those two top-end teams. And now they find themselves beating True Rippers 3-1 in the semifinals, and now going up to Marcos Gaming head-to-head in grand finals. A nice little storyline here at the end of the day, seeing Marcos go head-to-head against Revenant, who, for my money, Revenant, #1. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a really good opportunity for Marcos Gaming to kind of see what they have, but this is similarly how I felt about our last region. I think Revenant are in their own tier right now based on what I saw. It was a very dominant performance in this grand finals against Grandizers, who they once again beat 3-0 here early on in the bracket. They'll get a new opponent, different name going against them, but again, I kind of expect a very similar result. Revenant are the top of my board right now for this region.
Grandizers. I just like the name. Very cool. Ready?
I mean, I'm in the same boat once again. Oh, well, of course. I mean, Grandizers, pretty goated.
No. Give me the real stuff. Talk to me about the region and what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, Revenant Esports, I think you can't do better than Revenant in this region, and I'll put all my money on them gladly.
Yeah, definitely one of the stronger teams to take a look at. And if you're, again, we are always looking with the helicopter view with leaderboards and global play for sure. Every region needs to be taking a look at True Revenant, or they are kind of the top team here. That said, Marcos Gaming definitely been climbing, and I'm excited to kind of see what they're able to do here today. On camera, Marcos Gaming. See? In the jerseys at home. That is dedication. Like, listen, you got to wear your jersey on, like, you know, when you go to the studio or whatnot, you make it to LAN. But wearing the jersey at home for the cam, that is truly top tier. And should help Marcos Gaming find the dub. We'll find Ready Set after the jump. Thank you so much for the analysis. Kenny, it's you and I on the horn for this one. 79% going with the front team Revenant. But Marcos Gaming, like I said, they've been kind of crawling up in this region, and Revenant True Rippers is kind of the expected matchup. And so for Marcos Gaming to find themselves here in the finals, definitely a cool moment.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is an opportunity for them to really showcase what they've got. I think Revenant are a safe favorite given what we saw last month. You know, the names on this roster, too, so good. But Marcos Gaming, they didn't make it here by accident. You know, they had to have the skills, had to get those very crucial wins to move on this way. So I'm really excited to see what they can do. I hope they prove us wrong. I hope they make this a heck of a match. I'm always cheering for good Brawl stars, and we're kicking off strong here with this draft as well. Very safe picks so far. Nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. I will point out, though, our man RT on that right-hand side being banned. He is in action, so I'm curious to see how each region reacts. And scrims that I've noticed, everybody's trading it a little bit differently. The newness is always just a little interesting to see how it plays out across the world.
Yeah, I think I really like stance switchers. You know, it's a cumbersome type word there, but I look at characters like him, like Meg, like Bonnie, as essentially stance switchers, and that secondary one with the PB AOE damage is a brain buster. I think it's gonna be a little while before we see pro players really utilize RT to the top potential. So, draft finishing up here for Marcos. They've got 10 seconds to find their last pick, but so far we've got long-range Gus, Otis, and close-range Ash. So a well-rounded composition here for Marcos on Hard Rock Mine. We'll see if it's the right choice.
Yeah, I think they have a very versatile composition on the left-hand side. They're going to have Ash for some great aggression. His main goal is just to get up those side lanes, get up close and personal against the enemy. Swing is a little, I guess it's a broom, honestly, but it deals a lot of damage, I promise. Otis for the anti-tank in the lanes a little bit, and then Gus is just a great, I'll call it floor manager for all my sports people out there. In North America, we've got this big basketball tournament going on, so my head's all sports right now, but he's just really good at dishing out kind of that shield for his teammates. I think it pairs really well, especially with tanky brawlers, because Ash, of course, already has so much HP, and now we get to give him even bigger boost to be aggressive. Love that coming out of them.
And then the mute from Otis on the other side. If anything does kind of threaten Gus, or anything does kind of threaten Ash, Sran can kind of follow up with that. So I like that choice as well. We've got Stu and Janet, very elusive characters, followed up by the Carl. We'll see how this one works out. We jump right on in. Gus mid lane, no surprise. Stu mid lane, no surprise. And Carl's going to be dealing with the Otis. How's that matchup go?
I think it's fine. I think it's honestly a pretty even matchup in general. I don't think it's necessarily a hard counter. I know that's a term we love to throw out in Brawl Stars, but, you know, kind of just two plays better. They're going to keep their distance here. I think Ash could be a little bit difficult to handle for Mr. Carl over there. And now Ash going to be trying to deal some damage to Sergeant, who's cleaning things up. Trashant with the pickup as well, and just a little skate away. That speed zone really helping them out here, too, to pick up those extra gems and start things off strong. They've got 7 gems in their hands.
Ooh. Carl, I really like the use of flying hook there. Unable to convert, but a cute piece of tech for sure. Lucky number 7 in the pocket for the red team so far. Stu's going to shift over to the left-hand side. Sran barely alive and finds the kill. Does Sergeant. Yoda, I am. Countdown on the horizon. And there it is.
Little speed zone just for fun there, too, and Trashant taking advantage. Here come all the spawners, but they need to worry about Yash. This should actually be really dangerous for them. 8 seconds to go, and he's going to be trying to get away. A little dash from Stu here and there. And it's going to be a close call. He might go down, and he delivered every single gem into the enemy hands. What a difficult situation, and a heck of a turnaround.
What are you doing? Oh, that's the wrong thing. Stu and Carl desperately trying to knock down this Gus, and they can't. Carl an inch away. Gus winds up staying alive, but a little too close for my money there. Just, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, I don't know how to explain that. You know, maybe it was just a difficult pinch. Maybe he thought he could get out of harm's way. After all, every time Stu gets a super, it's really easy to cycle out, but usually you want to run towards your spawn if you're dropping off those gems. If you're in a really dire situation, make the other team walk away across the map. Don't hand it to them.
Exactly. So that play, that's exactly what happened. Realistically, it was a hard pinch. Sergeant was forced to go south, and if there are 1.5 seconds less on that clock, life is fine. And the timer runs out before he runs out of real estate, essentially. Because that's what happened. Stu was running south and just ran into a wall. There was nowhere else to go. Had there been 2 seconds less on the clock, we see a different game. But instead, he drops all of the gems on Revenant Esports, on Marcos Gaming's front porch. So Revenant Esports leading again this time. We'll see if the Stu, who for what it's worth, played really well in game number 1 outside of that blunder. We'll see if they can change things around here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're playing like the better team, getting another countdown here as well. But same situation. Yash now moving it forward. Trishant, though, here to defend along with Shafin. Yash somehow still staying alive in this situation, though. Here come the little spawners, and Sergeant needs to be careful here. 5 seconds to go. And again, it's going to be running the underway, but this time not going to be going too far from his spawn side. With only 1 second to go. Going to be able to easily keep those. I mean, my heart's racing. I'm just a little anxious, but I think it's safe to say that the Revenant side have been playing whole good matches. You know, I think it's been 2 really good games from outside of that blunder. They do look like the better team to me. I think they just got to be careful, and if they don't get in their own way, I think they can win this set.
Absolutely. Like I said, I mean, Stu made a very, we're all going to make fun of you, dude. But like, the reason I'm actually saying that is because he carried besides the one move that lost the game. So, you know, like, obviously it's not great, but just a mistake. This time around, Marcos Gaming have mid control for the first time, it feels like, as Yash pushing up on the right side doesn't get the opening kill. Again, for the first time, it feels like.
Yeah, this is a good turnaround for them. Yash really doing a good job here as Ash, right? He's staying low HP, but he's getting aggressive when he needs to. This passive-aggressive role that he has is really solid. Now going to be in trouble. I think tried to pop a gadget there even. Attempting to stay alive a little longer. Now Sergeant finally in control, but 6 gems in their pocket. By far the best start we've had for Marcos Gaming. They have a real chance at this.
That said, this is the beginning of the shift. Not even talking about the kill down here, but really, as soon as Yash went down, Revenant Esports was able to shade over into the mid, take control with 3-on-2, and then to add icing to the pound cake, find the kill on the backside, snatch the gems, and then walk on home. It's split up this time, not everything on Stu, 7 on Carl, but neither Brawler in a position of danger. 1 second to go. Stu on the right side of the map and Revenant Esports on the right side of the contest. Set number 1 for the red team.
Yeah, and I think the better team ended up winning that one, right? We had a huge blunder in game number 1, but again, mistakes happen. These guys aren't perfect by any means. There's so much pressure, a lot on the line, of course, between worlds, between money. You know, there's a lot going on in these guys' heads. It's easy to let one tough play slip. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He looked really good throughout that entire set. Yeah. Game 3 at the beginning, they made it work. They still came back and ultimately walked away with all those gems. Gem grab is a very punishing mode if you make one mistake. Unfortunately, in game number 1, that happened to Revenant, but after that, pretty smooth sailing overall.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I said during the gameplay, Sergeant honestly might be my most valuable player and my least valuable player at the same time for this. Like, my man did some hard carrying in all 3 games, but obviously single-handedly lost the game number 1. So, like, have some fun with it, dude. But clearly just like, you know, even Tony Hawk messes a kickflip up every now and then. So I think that's what we're talking about here. Revenant Esports, the number 1 in the region, and their Stu player certainly very, very strong himself. That mid laner with 204 damage a second, 8 frags to his name as well. So we're kind of finding out why Revenant Esports, known as the number 1 team in this Indian region. Again, Marcos Gaming just recently kind of climbing the ranks in this region and usurping that number 2 team to find themselves here in the finals. So Kenny, I think it might also be a little bit of you know, growing pains. Marcos, an established team, but not so established that they're expected to win this matchup. So I think coming in here, there's definitely some adjustments to be made on the side of Marcos.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a phenomenal team. This is Revenant not only making this 2 months in a row, but a lot of experience in past months. They've got grand finals under their belt. And like we've been saying, a lot of praise towards Sergeant, and deservingly so. I think he's arguably the best player in this region. And every time it's somebody that catches my eye. So fun to watch and always utilizing usually these higher skill cap brawlers. I mean, Stu can be very difficult. You know, it's often known as a ping brawler. If you get the good Wi-Fi, it can work. But at a pro level, you have to be on point with him. You can be absolutely punished if you're not cycling those supers. So I think, honestly, all things considered, one mistake, like we said, but he's still the guy.
Picks and bans coming at you. And we've got the new brawler band, Grom and Tick, and then Grom, the Pull, and the Sprout. Janet with Bonnie selected in. And now looking for a teammate for Janet. It'll be Max on Revenant. So a lot of dive potential coming out from the right side squad. Not Hard Rock Mine, by the way. We're going to Gold Arm Gulch in Knockout So definitely something important to internalize.
I think a good thing to call out too, just so many throwers being banned here. It's clearly something that these teams are prioritizing that they don't want to face. No Grom, no Sprout, no Tick. For this map specifically, I would be pretty surprised to see a Dynamite or Barley, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. Occasionally you'll see Barley show up on some knockout maps like this, just because throwers are so good with these indestructible walls right now. You're going to start seeing it in Brawl Ball, especially.
Yeah.
Barley and Dynamite are main staples right now across regions. I mean, especially obviously from the US, I watch a lot of their games, but I mean, Dynamite, Barley are even valued too. All 5 of these throwers are really getting some playing time, so I'm kind of always on high alert if we get any surprise picks, but I'm starting to become less and less shocked. But so far, pretty normal stuff.
It's always, it's very weird to hear somebody as intelligent as you say, you know, might be a Dynamite pick here. Like, it's been years. Like, who plays Dynamite? There's 3 people. Ultimately, it'll be a Gus, but I'm picking up what you're putting down. The world of throwers definitely got a lot more exciting with the indestructible walls. Did you see that Reddit post asking for nets above the wall?
I missed that one, but yeah, I appreciate the compliment. But these guys are obviously super smart too, and the mechanics that it brings to it's something I love about Brawl Stars. There's always things changing. I think it also caters to kind of the maps that we currently have in the meta. You know, we'll get shifts throughout the year. I'm assuming typically in the past every few months they refresh us a little bit. They want to keep us on our toes, test out all these maps. But with the indestructible walls in play, again, I just think from a strategy standpoint, it makes a lot of sense that people are valuing this. I mean, after all, you can't break the walls. If you can't have wall break brawlers, well, it's gonna be a little bit harder to counter those guys. But everybody right now kind of playing it safe, not finding it interesting enough to go for any of these brawlers. And I agree, I think Barley and Dynamite are not the best plays here. I like all these brawlers that we see on the field. A little bow rework as well with that gadget, something to keep in mind, of course. But 3 really good brawlers on each side. Again, Marco's Gaming really showing they have some good game intelligence too. I think all of these draft picks have been pretty solid. I like their last draft as well, so clearly they're here for a reason, and they're starting out pretty hot. Good kill right there.
First kill going the way of Marcos. Got to agree there. They're here for a reason. Set number 1 might not have showed us that. But here in set number 2, they've started things off hot with a 3-on-1. It looks like trash going to fall down to the wayside. Easy peasy. Marcos cores early. And nothing too flashy there. Just 1 kill into the next. Revenant Esports off to a poor start. I want to blame positioning, but honestly, Marcos, like I said, there wasn't anything overly flashy. It was just a win in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think so too. This is interesting how they're spreading themselves out here, kind of spacing the floor a little bit while Sergeant, Trishant, and Chafin are all grouped up. I think that has a lot to do with the supers they have in their hand, right? The max speed is going to be able to energize this entire roster. It's what we're going to see here. Now Sergeant getting aggressive. The shield on Yash, though, going to be plenty healthy. Whoever gets this first kill is going to have a huge advantage, and the first one falls. It's going to be Saran going down. 3v2 situation, this time in Revenant's favor.
Janet a little too high to find that rush down. And now it's going to be Sergeant left side rushing Yash into the gas. And now we find ourselves round 3. Yash does have that super, and that is huge. Again, you jump on somebody, and they can't respawn to kill you. So a nice safe look, but the other stun woman has one too. Janet goes to the sky, not enough damage. And now Marco's Gaming forced to use that Bonnie ult. So a big deal right there.
Ooh. Yeah, Trishant squeezing in a shot there as well. 2 brawlers going to be pinned on this bottom left-hand side. Sergeant low HP, still looking to get aggressive. Needs to be a little careful here. Don't want to cost him a kill.
Nice.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Over-aggression, and they're still low HP. There's still a chance of this, but Chafin, Trishant playing it really up close right now, making me a little nervous, but the line's going to go down, and there's simply nowhere for him to walk. Well played, Revenant. A little skill for bow mine play right there. Nowhere to walk. I mean, beautiful stuff.
Well, so I'll tell you exactly why I'm laughing, because that is a fundamental failure right there by true Revenant, right? You've got a player stuck in that left corner with the walls. You push with the pinch, and the fact that Max went in by themselves, like that's silly stuff. That's a rookie mistake. So Bo's just like, all right, we tried to do it the smart way, we failed, and Max gonna fail down there. early.
Yeah, I feel like just overstepping, I think is the right word. I think Revenant, obviously, we have Sergeant playing at the max. Phenomenal player, but sometimes you can't be overly confident. Love confidence. He's super skilled, can make it work, but a 3v1, pretty tough to swing for anybody right now. Now Trashant going to be low HP. Shafin's going to have to really clutch up for his teammates here, chasing down this Otis kill. Does squeeze through, but Yash picks up an easy one there as well. 2v1 situation. Trashant with low HP, going to have to go into this grass.
You are much nicer than I am. The max player there. I mean, yeah, sure, he's an excellent player. He's made it here, but like those are two round losing blunders. Like Revenant wind up winning the last one because they had the 3-on-1. Sure, couldn't lose. But Max's over aggression here winds up losing the round altogether. So I am not as high on the max player right now. I think Sergeant needs to peel it back a little bit, and I don't know military ranks enough to make a demotion joke, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? I think Sergeant especially is going to capitalize on playing with teammates here. I think a big thing for Max is making sure you're close enough to your allies to where you can give them the energy that they need to get some speed. That's what won them around earlier. Now they're going to be getting really aggressive again too. Sergeant low HP, the speed going through it is going to keep him alive, but barely. I can't believe he was managing to stay up there. All three brawlers survived, but a little bit of a wasted energy right there.
Still 3-on-3. Very healthy on the side of, well, both squads. Gus provides the shield for the cannon, and now it's Max being chased down. How's that for a role reversal? Everybody on Revenant half HP, but honestly, so is mid and top side, but it's Yash who finds the first kill. Now in trouble, jumps across the map all the way and finds the turnaround. It's a 1-on-2. Sergeant, is there a redemption arc?
There might just be 942 HP. Sergeant looking for bullets goes down, though. I thought he might have it.
I thought he might have it.
That was. Ooh, I did too. I really thought he was going to squeeze in a few shots there. There were a few misses from Gus, but ultimately 2 versus 1. Really difficult stuff. And again, I think you point out very correctly, Max has to stay alive early. I love the aggression. I love the confidence. Like I said, that's something in a player that's very difficult to come by. It's super important, but wipe that off. Maybe go with a different approach here. I think you're not going to want to send Max Storl on this left-hand side because at this point they're anticipating. They're sending Yash over here. They're sending Otis on this side, and they were able to hit those shots really early on. There's been at least 2 to 3 rounds now where that's been a pivotal part of their strategy.
Trouble on the top left. Yash getting pushed down, and that's the type of aggression you need to use. Revenant finds themselves with a numbers advantage. Fresh set, by the way, or excuse me, fresh game, by the way. So we're tied at 1 for the games. Round game set match. It gets to me.
Yeah, knockout can be a little toughy, but yeah, not looking too tough for Revenant right now. 3 versus 1. I mean, this is a beautiful situation. Again, Sergeant staying up early. He still continued with the aggression. Again, I like that, but maybe just do it as a unit. I think a lot of times in knockout too, you're going to see teams sticking together. It's exactly what Marcos Gaming are going to do here. They're sending all 3 of their guys left. There's a little bit of mind games that go down with the lane, and I think they were trying to read into this. Revenant actually switch it up entirely. I think keeping the enemy on your toes at this get-go can also be really helpful too, but now going out, spacing it out a little bit, and Sergeant can be in a 1-on-1 with Saran, and hasn't gone his way a few times now. A good chip shot in there too. It's going to slowly dwindle his HP. He's going to survive, but have to retreat for now.
Nice play by Shafin to jump into these right side bushes and actually deny the push from the Otis player on the top side because he didn't know where Shafin might have been after the fact. So a little bit of obfuscated information there leading to the victory. Max, again, top side, all by himself. Not a hair of HP. Bo has to shade up to protect his Max player and dies because of it.
Love the distance that Gus kept there, able to dish out the shield. Now a jump in from Yasha, dive forward though, and Sergeant's able to survive. 3v1 situation. Now Shafin low HP, no gadgets for Gus, so Shafin stays alive for now, can fly, but ultimately just gonna throw in the towel. Coming down to the wire here, 1 more round to go to determine if Marcos Gaming can tie up our scoreboard.
Does Yash have super? No, and that's gonna be a big deal. Shafin does. Also going to be a big deal. Especially considering it's the last round of the set. Got it right that time. Shafin's got to be careful. And that's why I like them on this sort of bottom right side, because they're not going to be able to be targeted by more than one player. Has to make sure they super before they die.
Yeah, and Abhishek throwing that shield.
Back super pop.
It's really weak.
3-on-2 here for Revenant Esports, and they are in the driver's seat. Game not over just yet, though, as Yash going to be able to find a target to jump on if somebody's soft. Shouldn't be Shafine. Obviously, she can jump out of the way. Now it's a 1-on-3, and that's a little bit less likely. Jumps into the middle. Why not, boys? Revenant Esports finds the second one, albeit a little bit more arduous than their gem grab performance.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, some struggles early on and a really close match. I think we got to see what Marcos Gaming really have in them there, but the result's going to be the same. Very tough situation. I like what I'm seeing, though. I think they're putting up a good fight. And again, this is kind of just getting their feet under them in these grand finals. You know, we didn't expect them to win this, but they've taken a few really good games, made those rounds super close, too. And again, we're able to crucially punish some really tough plays there, too. Soloing out players, making good callouts. I would love to know what their comms are. I feel like their teamwork was really solid.
This was really funny. I started to explain it and then kind of got lost in the sauce, but you know, there was a really fundamental strategy play that they should have walked into, you know, left side, right side, but it was like, all right, what if we just blow it up, dude? You don't know how to pinch? All right, fine, I'll just throw my mines at it and kill the guy, fine. And it works. It works. We call that percussive maintenance. And just like that, Revenant Esports throws the hammer at the second set. But this was much more representative of what I expected to see in this contest. You know, game number one, Revenant kind of stumbled a little bit, but like gem grab was all red team all day, all night. Marcos Gaming, though, really stood up here in this knockout, and I think we got a much more honest look at this team in set number two. And so as we take sneaky fields for Brawl Ball, I expect to see more out of Marcos Gaming, maybe even a victory here. So this one should be fun.
Wholeheartedly agree. I think we've just continued to see Marcos Gaming progress, and that might just be, again, them making a very first grand finals appearance. You know, they're going against Revenant Esports. They've got a lot on the line. Anita, first overall for Revenant, too. I like it. I think it makes a lot of sense in this map right now, considering how tank heavy it is. We're going to get a lot of brawlers that don't deal well as spawners. Of course, Bruce the Bear is the beefiest one you got. Nita, first pick overall, a very safe one, I think, on this map, can deal with a lot of different options. Got to keep her distance sometimes. It's going to be a very key part of this. And again, too, I'll call it out. You were talking about this earlier. Doesn't super surprise me to see Sandy being banned at this point. This is something that APAC in general have really adapted in their gameplay recently, especially after that buff. It seems that Sandy's somebody they really are going back to, and kind of love to see the shift in meta here.
Just strong control, kind of wide paintbrush control as well. A lot of the new brawlers have control, but niche control. They counter a specific brawler or archetype, whereas Sandy just like drops that giant invis circle, and that can be really troublesome to deal with for sure. But we've got an old school composition here out of Marcos with the Poco and the Spike, playing Brawl Ball in 2020 here, as Sergeant is waiting for 2 more picks on their side.
Yeah, and even the El Primo being banned here, too. I mean, it's really feeling like some old school Brawl stars. El Primo, of course, going to do really well into so many different tanks, so I imagine that's part of the influence for banning that out here early. Example, Rosa going to be somebody that now could thrive in this situation. They grab the Max as well, going to have some extra speed. We've seen what Sergeant can do on this Brawler. I'm really excited to see this combination in play. Very likely going to be that Max in mid, Rosa causing some havoc on the left-hand or right-hand side, Nita doing the same in a lane, too. Of course, Spike, high DPS, can deal with tanks, but alone, I don't know if he can deal with the HP of Bruce, Nita, and Rosa. That's a hefty amount of HP.
Before we get our last pick in here, I just want to shout out our players representing the teams. Saran on camera for Marcos Gaming, and Trash has been on the bottom side for Rev. And so, always cool to see the guys. I commented on the jerseys before, you know, like real talk. I like to see people taking it seriously. And Revenant Esports trying to take this one to the bank here, as they've got the Surge, the Cactus, and the Guitar Player we've got Nita, Rosa, and Max across the way. And I like both of these drafts a lot. Oh boy, I like both of these drafts a lot.
I love the excitement. I mean, that just means it's going to be a good match, right? And something we're going to continue to see is Saran's going to take some damage early. Sergeant, a lot of HP, but Yash with the jump in. Shafin with the dive forward, though. Shafin, oh, just off the pass there. Shafin, I think, could have had the easy goal, but is now going to have to back off for now. Revenant, no longer going to have an easy bucket. Instead, it's going to be all tied up.
Nice explosive start here for our Brawl Ball match. Spike tosses out some control in the mid, and it's Poco that helps Yash get the kill on the left-hand side. Shafin needs to die if Marcos wants to be able to get up and shoot. But Shafin takes too long, and Sergeant respawns. Might be enough to play defense. Ooh, not quite. Sadan finds the kill, or the goal, rather. And it's Marcos Gaming up 1.
Yash going to be playing into this Rosa lane, which makes a lot of sense. Surge traditionally going to be somebody that can get that super very easily off the Giants. And that includes Rosa, of course. Going to be running around in the grass looking for a stun, and that's exactly what Sarge is going to get, rotating into a super.
Too
now
soon.
Up. It's going to be Spike going down, 3v1 situation, just alone Yash in the goal. And Trishant should be able to get this off just in time, all tied up. Sergeant with the goal.
Oh my goodness. Sergeant with the goal. I mean, he set the table, cooked the meal, and then ate it. Great stuff out of the Rosa. Now getting bullied on the left-hand side by the Surge. Honestly, that Rosa really is the difference maker here for Revenant Esports. Oh, wow. Dirty. Marcos Gaming on the push. Might have just given up a scoring opportunity. Those kills came real close together. Instead, they wait for the respawn. Yash jumps the wall, gets taken care of. Poco walks it in. And it's Marcos Gaming that find themselves winning game number 1 of the Brawl Ball set.
Beautiful plays from both teams, but Marcos Gaming, like we've said, they've been in it pretty much the whole time. Outside of Gym Grab, they've only progressed to get better and better. Loving what I'm seeing. And like you said, they're taking it seriously. I trust to impress, right? They're wearing their jerseys. They clearly care. The little things like that go a long way for me, and I think that's something super, super cool. Is Yash is going to be able to get this super really early now, and once again, that's what we're talking about. Easy supers for Surge going to Rosa without that stun early. As long as Surge can keep his distance, it's going to be great for them. Go with a super in hand too. Yash should have enough HP through a gadget for extra measure, but the defense really strong. I don't know if they quite get this one.
Yes! Yes, baby! Saran's able to go ahead and score as well. Honestly, everybody on the map is playing well, but this is Yash versus Sergeant. That's what I'm seeing.
Another
big damage out of Yash here on the right-hand side. Enough to force Trash out, but it's Sergeant that finds the answer back. Kenny Red Team have the ball. They were going to be able to score if Rosa stayed alive, but she didn't. And it's Max that follows things up, so we're tied at 1.
1-1 again. 2 very competitive Brawl Ball games here. Sergeant with a super that he can use at any moment. Again, it's going to beef him up so much to the point where it can get really overwhelming. Even if you've got solid tank counters like Surge and Spike, Rosa up close is a force to be reckoned with, but a jump makes it even better too. A little heal up coming in from the left-hand side. And now Yash just sprinting forward. A good cleanup here. Low HP, but another jam. Why not dunk on him at this point? 2-1. Marcos Gaming are still in it.
Bro, oh man, I told you, dude, this monthly finals has been a really cool microcosm of Marcos Gaming's entire time here in this India region. Between the BSC, Snapdragon, some other competitions as well, we have seen this squad start as a de facto sort of middle of the pack team and slowly find themselves up and up and up. And that's what we're seeing in this matchup. They found themselves kind of getting stepped over in Gem Grab. And then in set 2, knockout, they got a little bit competitive. And then here in set 3, they won the dang thing. And so now we've got to go to Hot Zone here. And in the next set, I mean, does this mean that they win even easier? Is that the storyline here?
Yeah, a little bell curve. I mean, you never know, right? They are impressive. I think it's something that you point at too. The storylines are great. It's the reason I love esports so much, especially for Brawl Stars. Anybody on any given month has a dream at it. I mean, they have a real chance here. Look at this scoreboard. Yash, my boy has 438 DPS, 13 kills, said, give me the ball. Beautiful stuff coming in from Marcos Gaming, and this is the potential that we saw from them. Look, Revenant Esports are the favorites coming into this, but Marcos Gaming cannot rule them out here. A reverse sweep, not out of the question, but comebacks are difficult, especially against the number one team in the region.
Very true for sure. Yash, the difference maker for me. Yes, Surge, strong character for sure, especially against Rosa. But the individual performance, outstanding in the field. And so, a good look for sure. We'll shift gears, and Revenant Esports will go ahead and watch Marcos Gaming select Poco first overall. RT still banned.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Poco worked for him last time. Let's just run it back. Can also work on this map too, but the big, scary robot is on the other side, staring them down. Meg is terrifying on this map. A lot of HP, and given the game mode, it's hot zone. You have to obtain that point and hold it. Kills, important, but not everything, and that's something that Meg excels at. Can be a real aggressive brawler, can get up close in your face with that big old swing that does 4,000 damage, and also shots from long range. Very versatile, can get her super in these narrow lanes. I really like this option, but Penny, a solid response, especially with that Penny turret in play. Those indestructible walls will give that even more added value.
That's what we've seen, you know. That was one thing where, like, Penny stock was already pretty high, and then the indestructible walls came out, and it was just to the moon. So, certainly still out here pirating the 7 Seas. But we've got the turret and the healer. Marcos Gaming down to the wire here. They're going to go with the Sam. Again, Marcos Gaming seems to go well-rounded compositions, which Brawl Stars doesn't always demand. But Marcos Gaming, they did something like this earlier on in Gem Grab as well. Obviously didn't go well, but I don't think there is no transit property here. Where, you know, they've got healer, up close, long range. You know, they've got sort of this well-rounded comp, which that's not really how we look at compositions in Brawl Stars, but here it works.
Yeah, I think it's important, right, not to overly consider counterplays and things like that. I think Sam's actually going to have a pretty good go at this. I imagine this is probably a good combination with Poco, of course, the classic pocketing the healer with Sam, getting him the HP. But when Sam first came out, especially, he was really solid in this map just because he throws up that super. If he gets to the enemy walls, he can hover down and hold it. But, you know, I said don't overly worry about counterplays, but when I see Colette into Sam, it makes me a little nervous for Sam, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, Colette definitely controls a lot of those situations. If I'm Sam, I just don't go towards Colette. Just fight somebody else.
It's that easy.
Welcome to the game mode where there's only one specific place to fight, and you don't actually get to make that choice. So, Yash in the middle lane on the Poco, but here comes Sam chasing down Sergeant. And Sam's able to get one, and there's what you were talking about.
Yeah, the push is going to go a long way here, too, if they elect to use it as well. It's just, they can take him right off the point. And again, they don't have a choice. I think it's funny you mentioned, too, there's only one place to fight. There really is. This is a close quarters hot zone map as well, especially when there aren't wall break options available for everybody. Love the Penny choice. Now we get this turret down. That's where they can really start to shine here. But come back now for Revenant. Again, Meg just kind of able to stand here, do the thing. They're probably going to rotate Shafin here in and out right now. Love the use of the ego to get rid of this thing, to make it easier on themselves.
Yeah. Very, very cool. I wonder if Lola Tech is going to be very, very, very valuable going forward. Revenant Esports here, halfway done and trending upwards. Blue team needs to find a way back onto the field, but not going to be able to at the moment. To the left side, Sam looking for help, finds it via Yash, and now Marcos are able to step on the point.
This swing by Chant too, that's brutal for them. And Sam, again, I think he's going to be a decent lane option into Meg just to get her out of that robot form really quickly. And of course, when she's out of the robot form, sure, she can shoot her little pea shooter shots, but Sam's got a lot of HP, brother. You just can't deal with that. Unless Meg has a baseball swing, there's really nothing that they can do. So I think Sam can be really valuable in that sense. It's a good thing they have Colette to kind of balance that out.
Oh, man. Colette super into super, winds up falling down, but does the work first. Sam also eats it. Great snap targeting coming out from Revenant Esports, who are 8% away from the W. Trash isn't going to be able to do it by himself. Here comes Shafeen, also not going to be able to do it by himself. But now Trash in the mech. Can't find the entrance. Sergeant falls down as well, but the walk is good. And Revenant 1 game away from taking it for their region.
Yeah, I think we saw what Meg could really do there, right? It's something I talked about. It's a very good brawler for dealing out that damage, can deal with brawlers up close if needed, but ultimately just the sheer amount of HP, and then immediately you go down with the robot. Well, there's still a brawler you got to deal with, and Meg can just charge up that super once again and keep cycling it out. I think Revenant did a good job. It came pretty close, but Marcos Gaming ultimately did not have enough to suffice. It's going to be a close one here again. Again, super impressed with Marcos Gaming, but going to be tough to take down the Titans in this region.
Titans. Good word. That's really what Meg did. She just kind of got in the mech and was like, hey, I'm bigger than you. You're not going to be able to kill me before the clock runs up. So we 100% here. Kind of real brawl, no brains for Revenant finishing that one off. But here in this game, Revenant Esports able to get a third of the way through in their first jump. Marcos able to answer back, but just barely. And now Revenant back on the clock. Sam on the right side gets targeted by 2 players, and there's that swing from the Meg mech. And Revenant Esports locking this one down. Looks like they've made a home base in mid.
Yeah, this one's really starting to get out of hand, and then now Colette using a super there, staying alive due to the gadget, finally going down to an Abhishek super, but Yash even not gonna have enough HP to really deal with this single-handedly. They're gonna need to bring in the reinforcement. 70% for Revenant Esports. They're already back in robot form. Can't get spawn trapped here, but a nice kill and a pickup. Oh, they could start getting some pinches, but again, kills only get you so far. They have to hold down this point perfectly for the rest of the game.
Very true, man. I say it all the time. It's about the stuff after the stuff. You got your kills, cool. That's what opens up the objective. If you just get the kills, you're not getting said objective. So Revenant Esports now on the downturn, locked at 79%. Not enough for them to just hammer it like they did last time. So Marcos Gaming in a much better position this time around. Colette collects, but is sent back as well by way of Sam.
This is going to be a real test for him here, too. Trishant, not in robot form anymore, but does manage to get this kill. Clock is ticking. They're already at 95%. No Marcos Gaming players in sight. And Revenant Esports do it again. They pick up the necessary game. They were challenged more than last month, but still hold the title. 2-time now defending champion.
Very good performance here from True Revenant. But, you know, listen, absolute shout out to Marcos Gaming. Not usually the guy that's kind of like giving out participation trophies, but this is a newer region. And one of the things that happens in new regions that can be really tough is single team dominance. And in that situation, nobody gets better because you just have Team Dignitas beating everybody else. Here, the Indian region, Revenant Esports now getting a little bit of trouble with Marcos Gaming, not the number 2 team. That bodes well for the region overall. Because I look at this, and yes, Revenant are still number 1, baby. That's cool. But things are changing out here in the Indian region. And I think that's very interesting looking at this sub-region going forward. Because as I said, they've got all the right tools to become a very dominant region or a very competitive region worldwide. And that's very cool to see this early in the program. So Revenant Esports do take it away. And I think that that is the expected result. But how close this one was, how strong the other teams are, and how competitive they can make these early matches. This is just the second monthly finals, by the way. As we go deeper and deeper, I think we'll see more and more competition coming up against Revenant Esports. Shout out to Sergeant here, taking the MVP away for his team. And yeah, the tank player looked real good. Pretty much all set.
He always does. I think, again, to your credit as well, like Revenant Esports have been great. I think they're expected to be kind of the clear winners, but it gives me hope, right? I think it's healthy for a region to kind of go through some conflict, a little push and pull between all these teams. Do I expect Revenant to be the heavy favorites right now? Absolutely. They've taken 2 months in a row, but teams like Marcos Gaming really showcasing that it's not impossible. I think it's going to give some teams that spark and know that these guys can bleed too. They're not indestructible. So glad we got to see him take a set off. Impressed with Marcos Gaming and really looking forward to seeing this region as always in future months. It's a very passionate part of Brawl Stars, very loyal fans. Always love watching this region.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, again, I look at the newer regions in a much different light than I look at some of our more established regions like our East Asia and NA and EMEA, excuse me. So very cool to see the depth of competition in this field. As we said, True Rippers is one of the more notable teams from this region. They were essentially your number 2. So Marcos Gaming getting the dub against them in semifinals is worth noting. And then Marcos Gaming getting a win against Revenant Esports in the finals, also worth noting. So much, as I said, you know, if you know, you know, is a team that lost in the quarterfinals. But if you know, you know that India has a lot of potential in the competition. At the moment, Revenant Esports and Marcos Gaming kind of reigning supreme here. You mentioned Grindizers earlier on, not their month this time around.
Yeah, 1 point being the difference maker too. I think people forget those upper bracket and lower bracket wins actually do matter. So that dictates a little bit of the nitty gritty of why there's just a few points differentiating these teams. But again, consistency pays off. And that's what we got out of Revenant Esports. 2 monthly wins in a row is going to add so many points to the bank account. Love to see it, but I mean, it's going to be a close race for that other spot as well. Marcos Gaming, Grindizers, the 2 right there. Sage, not too far off. And sounds like you're a big fan of Rippers too. So I'm going to have to do some digging on them and make sure I watch a lot of their games because I want to see some more teams challenge this.
Absolutely. Definitely one of the more exciting new young regions to check a look at if you've been around the Brawl scene for a while. New squads, new people, maybe even new champions in the future. But talking about champions, that's where we've got to head. The East Asian portion of this broadcast coming up. We're not just doing grand finals, we're doing semi 1 and semi 2. But I'm not semi, I'm all the way excited for this one. We'll see you after the jump.
It has all been coming down to this.
We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion.
Oh my word! What an incredible moment!
We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion. Time short, no time for relaxing. Be the first in, last out, make it happen. We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion. Time short, no time for relaxing.
Without further ado, let's get brawling.
What's up, Brawlers? Welcome back to the monthly finals here in APAC, where we're moving into the last sub-region of the day. It's time for East Asia, which has been the birthplace of our world champions for the last 2 years. It's exciting stuff. I'm glad to do it with you, Kenny. We've got Kenny Set on the mic, and I'm pumped, man.
Kenny Set does hit different, and the nickname obviously phenomenal as well. But glad to have you here too. The semifinals last month were really fun to watch. I think there's a lot of excitement around this region, not just because of the super team that Crazy Raccoon is, but also because we've got some new pairings with all these phenomenal players. And I don't know, in 6 months, anything can happen. There's a lot of monthly finals ahead, but I'm excited we get to do this one here.
It's important that you note it's new pairings as far as players and not as far as matchups, because, yeah, this is exactly what we saw last month. Just new names for the teams. Aphelion Esports, formerly being OK, facing versus Crazy Raccoon once again in our first semifinal. Then Reject, formerly Guts, facing versus Chasmac Gaming EA in the second semifinal, all culminating in the main event. Do we see Crazy Raccoon take it once again? Kenny, I'm curious to hear what you got to think, man.
Short answer, yeah, I think they do. I don't know. Until these guys lose, I'm not betting against them. Multiple world championships or runner-up, depending on the players in that roster. And Aphelion Esports against any other team, I feel pretty solid about them, to be honest with you. I think they're a really good roster. And, you know, I think this semifinals, when you look at these 4 teams, these are the best 4 teams in this region. I don't think it's 2 months in a row that they have not dropped many sets. I mean, you look at the first round, it's 3-0s, 3-1s, not a lot of opponents challenging them. Not to say this region isn't strong, but the top heavy guys in this region, the ones that are aiming for those grand finals, arguably some of the best in the world. I was looking at power rankings from Twitter the other day, and a lot of these teams were mentioned. Some even mentioned 4 out of 5 of their top 5 teams being these 4 teams. So I think that really goes to show how strong people view these guys.
My gosh. And yeah, dear viewer, I would listen to you if I were you, or rather I would listen to Kenny if I were you, because this guy's got his predictions locked down, and you can submit predictions of your own if you go to event.brawlstars.com to get some sweet, sweet goodies. Once again, feel free to copy our homework. We're totally not copying off of Kenny because he went, well, 100% correct on his predictions last month. We're all about Crazy Raccoon, and we're all about rejects this month, Kenny.
Yeah, I think, you know, last month, it was something I was a little surprised with. CMG, a phenomenal team. It's something that semifinal number 2 that we saw that a lot of people went with. And again, don't sell yourselves short. You guys missed 1 last month. That's still pretty darn good, Mr. Ready said. I think you should be prideful. I'll definitely be looking your way for some NA predictions later down the line as well.
You know what? I'll take a B- this time, and I'll take it proudly. We'll see if it holds true this time. It's Aphelion Esports versus Crazy Raccoon. It's a rematch as well, just new jerseys for Milkrio, Dimsy, and Suzuku, formerly last month being OK, and now doing far better than OK, because, well, they got a contract.
Yeah, I'm glad we get to change up the name a little bit. You know, OK is an understatement. These guys are very skilled players. They've been around this region for a while, especially Milkrio and Dimsy. I think are going to be some household names if you've been a fan of Brawl Stars for a long time. They've been a part of some really strong teams, and they've always been hovering right around that world final spot. Not quite there last year, of course, but dangerously close. Certainly some good challenges, too, between the teams they were on last year. And Suzuku's been a really impressive one to join these guys as well. I think the 3 of them, really solid players. Again, Crazy Raccoon are my favorites in this region right now until proven otherwise. It's just kind of my safe pick.
Well, let's talk your other favorite here. Crazy Raccoon is the opponent waiting across the way for Aphelion Esports. It's Tentai, it's Shtetampo, it's Moya. I mean, do they really need any introduction? It's a super team formed by the combination of the top 2 teams in the World Finals last year, and they've pretty much been killing it lately. But still, we got to get a larger sample size to anticipate how this is going to develop over the course of the year. But that aside, I mean, they have some star-studded track records here.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think of the Mount Rushmore of Brawl stars, I mean, Tensai and Satampo are probably both on there for me. Across the world, two mechanically insane players. You know, both of them have won a World Finals at this point. Some have even won two, and Moyagoku played along with Satampo last year. Looked great. I mean, arguably, these are the three best mechanical players in the world. That's not everything, though. And again, on any given day, there are really strong teams in this region. Aphelion have it in them. They recently got picked up. The confidence has got to be a little bit higher, and they deserve to be signed by somebody. So I'm really excited they're getting this opportunity to showcase some new colors on their jerseys. Hope it gives them a little spark and we make this one a really competitive one.
No doubt. I mean, this is going to be extremely competitive considering that, once again, we saw these two go head-to-head in the last month. Okay, if it's the same bracket as last month, that's not the last time we're going to mention that. But it still makes things a little interesting because how did things develop over the last month? We got a first taste here on Open Zone. We got your words on the predictions. It's 73% for Crazy Raccoon. I think this is actually... I think this is fair. I think that this is quite fair considering just how dominant Crazy Raccoon can be at times, and a feeling they have yet really to show us their full strength, I believe.
I agree. I'm happy with that split. I'm glad there are enough people out there believing in Aphelion because they deserve it. They absolutely deserve some love. And I know the caster desk, you know, we're kind of just going to pick what we think is going to win. A lot of y'all at home are, but a lot of people rooting for these guys. Clearly, Penny first overall pick. Nothing really standing out to me in this ban phase. It is open zone, so sometimes you get those sharpshooters, but other times as well, it's something we've really seen develop in Brawl Stars. Much more rounded compositions, right? You don't really see too many sharpshooters getting banned. I mean, if you want to call Bonnie a long-range brawler, wouldn't necessarily say sharpshooter. Same for Gus. He's got the distance, but, you know, it's not some heavy-hitting Piper damage. I think it just goes to show what these pros are looking at, and they're willing to leave these sharpshooters wide open.
Well, here comes another sharpshooter. Janet, she has fairly long range. Might not fit your definition if we're talking a Piper or Mandy or Nanny being in the discussion, but still fairly long range brawler. Something I will say to everyone watching is, you know, strap in to not be too surprised. Oh, looks like we had a little change there. Could be Lola. Here's a selection of Janet as the second one. Aphelion Esports going for these two brawlers. Lola, I wouldn't necessarily call her a sharpshooter. She has about the same range as Bonnie. She can still get the job done, though.
Absolutely. High DPS and somebody that, especially with the ego, you can punish enemies for. I think it's just an extra spawner on the field. It's a little bit of a way to kind of push enemies off of that hot zone without putting yourself in harm's way. I think that's one of the benefits. You can throw it right by your side to really focus on a team, or you can throw it out in front of you, drop the ego shield as well. And this is one I did not necessarily see coming, though. Sorry to cut off the Lola pick here, but Byron, somebody who got buffed recently, I have seen him a good bit in East Asia scrims. It's somebody I noted that stood out to me because it's just somebody we don't see too often. But yeah, I'm a little surprised considering the other brawlers available.
It is an East Asia favorite. Let's see what it's combined with. Belle is a selection here from Crazy Raccoon as their final brawler, and she'll be able to lock down some control around mid if she pops down some of her gadgets, some of the nest eggs, bear traps, what have you. But I think the Byron here is actually going to be quite good utility because you can function well as a sharpshooter and then also assist your teammates on healing up. Wonder who's going to be exactly at the helm there, but given that Tensai usually acts as a team captain, would say certainly up for the task. Here's Aphelion Esports coming in with the Meg, who operates at pretty long range, similar to what Byron and Belle have to offer, and she gets about 7k health when she pops in that Meg. I'm a little bit concerned for Crazy Raccoon, but I still feel like they'll probably be able to get the job done.
I agree with you. I actually really like this draft coming in from Aphelion Esports, and Meg is somebody I definitely should have identified way earlier as a possibility. Players switching it up as they're figuring out who's playing what, of course, but Meg doesn't really have any hard counters on this other side. Belle, of course, with the nest eggs, you know, if they get a lucky step on that, they can slow it down. Byron, though, is not a heavy, damage dealer here. He can slowly dish out over time. He's got a super to throw down as well, but I kind of like this matchup for Meg in general. I don't think there's really an easy way to deal with her, so if she can get that super, Suzuku could be smooth sailing.
Well, early super on the left side, just as you pointed out. Suzuki's opting to hide his position and fire off 2 shots in quick succession. He's able to get him an early lane pushback, not necessarily a victory versus Stetampo. He does have that super, but he's probably not going to get in close enough range. Meanwhile, on the right side, Crazy Raccoon are holding things back pretty effectively. And Aphelion Esports are starting to tiptoe onto this point, getting just on the edge of that nest egg. They have very good visuals on precisely where this gadget is. And they will almost be able to take back the lead from Crazy Raccoon, but Crazy Raccoon are able to push back. Here comes a super in from Moya. Almost a finishing shot as Milkrio blocks it with the use of his gadget. Crazy Raccoon stay in the lead, but not man-wise.
I think they're doing a great job of taking advantage of this Meg robot. Lola, Dempsey playing that brawler, doing a good job of just kind of making sure they're touching down on this hot zone. Ultimately, kills are great, but the objective is to hold that hard point, and that's exactly what Crazy Raccoon are going to attempt to do now. The nest egg is going to make it more difficult as one's going to get dropped down, and now Moya Goku hovering over this as well. This is where things can really start to get out of hand, and Aphelion are going to have to pick up some kills quick.
Let's see if they're able to do it. Suzuki starts pushing on the left side. He's getting really slapped up, though. Has a super in hand, but it won't be used. He has to back up to the back lines. Has that 50% damage reduction shield, which will come in handy when he pushes back in. Shitampo doesn't seem to... Rather, he has one more gadget, it looks like, to block off some shots. But Crazy Raccoon, it's about the last thing on their mind. They're just focused on maintaining this control. Now shifting their attention to the left side as Suzuki could be just a couple of shots away from getting that final super. But it's drive time. 1-2 kills on the right side. And this looks like it's a Crazy Raccoon victory for the very first game.
Yeah, very easy stuff here now as they're just going to sit on the point a little bit longer. 3 brawlers comfortably getting the job done there. There were moments there where I feel like Aphelion showed that they could take over, but ultimately they just kind of had to time those pushes right. Really either work with the Lola Ego or work with the Meg Super in order to push up. And again, the mechanics of Crazy Raccoon are really going to be able to drive a lot of wins. They're going to be able to duel their lanes and win them oftentimes. It's not going to be an easy task, but Aphelion are going to have to find a way to either go even or take advantage, pick up a kill early and a few chip shots in Shitampo. At least a good start for them, and Suzuki just rushing this middle and holding it down for his teammates for now.
He's getting bit tagged up though by Tensai, getting severely threatened. Shitampo could flex onto him as well. Tensai's getting beaten up by Dempsey around the right side. Still gonna look for a different angle. Now there's that final shot to Suzuki, and Moya claims the right side in turn. Milkrio's the last man standing on the left. Could get targeted down, but he's withdrawn in that bush. Crazy Raccoon have to gear up for the next push in around the mid and the right side.
Yeah, they came out swinging there, but the dangerous part of this is getting spawn trapped in this map can be really difficult to climb yourself out of, but thankfully they have a monster truck mech to work for him here. The heals coming in from Moya Goku, though. Nicely done there to keep Shitampo up. They're going to be able to hold the line here for just a little bit longer, but they're just going to have to chip shot here one at a time. Byron, of course, trying to provide for Shitampo, not really focusing on Macreo at this point, but still manages the shot, and now all of a sudden, it's Aphelion running away with it.
Well, that could be short-lived because here comes the turret spawning on the right side. Some ego plays on the right side too, but shut down by that turret. Milkrio, of course, getting the kill shot on that. Has a super in hand. Probably going to act more as control, but Crazy Raccoon adapted into a different formation on the right side as they look to push from right to left. Surprised by Dempsey, though. Tensai gets sent to an early grave. And Aphelion Esports have to regain this super on a Meg. She will go down for now. Suzuki sent to the respawn. Crazy Raccoon might have an opportunity to push back.
Yeah, it's going to be a solid strat for them here. They've got Tensai and Shitampo both up. Suzuki without a super in hand, and it's not going to be an easy one here. I think there's a real possibility, like you said, that Crazy Raccoon could come back here. All they have to do is kind of have at least one brawler on here. Easier said than done, of course, but Moya Goku with a super, Tensai with a super, Shitampo in beautiful positioning right now, forcing the enemies to go onto this healing station in the back right. And finally, a pickup for Dempsey, an opportunity with the monster truck, but it's going to come down to the wire.
Big plays with the supers from Aphelion Esports. They have the mech down, and they had an ego that was able to get an Elin at mid. Tensai still fighting for his life. Dempsey could approach. Milkrio goes down, but we're approaching the point of no return. Aphelion Esports, they've got to run away with this one. Dempsey could fall. Suzuki just barely alive, gets taken down, but Lola's there to finish the job, and it's 1-1 within our very first set.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one here. I mean, game number one, I feel like Crazy Raccoon were sitting pretty comfortably, right? But now I see Aphelion and what this composition can really do. You know, Byron, I feel like, has gotten some decent value. Obviously not able to deal a ton of damage in the front end, but as a good utility and long-range brawler, I see the vision for him, and I think this is a wise decision to send Meg in the mid here. Tensai was hitting some pretty solid shots, but as long as Suzuki can stay up long enough to get this monster truck, I think they're really going to be able to just hunker down and continue to dish out damage. Beautiful shots coming in from both sides. Suzuki doing good. Dempsey here for some cover fire as well. The salty barrel not going to be enough, trying to focus multiple brawlers, and it is going to be enough to get that monster truck. They're going to be able to comfortably get to 20% and maybe even further.
Brilliant stuff for Aphelion Esports. Big picture here. It looks like they have kind of gotten the better comp in Crazy Raccoon. They've chosen to draft some of the shorter, or rather the longer range brawlers that don't offer as much DPS, especially when you look at Meg. Here's a big swipe in. It's still 0% all silence on the northern front versus Crazy Raccoon as Aphelion Esports now approach the 60% mark.
Yeah, this is getting dangerous, but Crazy Raccoon really have to step it up here. This is getting to a point where it's going to be difficult, even if they get a good spawn trap in here. I mean, they're going to have to hold the line for a very long time. Very comfortable lead is now CR finally touched down on the hot zone, but right back into the driver's seat for Meg. Janet trying to dish out some damage too. A nice kill in the back lines. Satampo still getting swung. It's going to be a home run for Suzuki as they're approaching 80.
A grand slam to add on to that because it might be able to finish off this game for them. Crazy Raccoon still are pushing back with a vengeance, getting those first bits of percentage on the point. Have allowed Aphelion now to get to 91%. It's going to be tough to come back from this, especially as Tensai gets shut down. It's a 3v2. Moya has to retreat. Stetampo looking for anything he can. Might be able to take out Dempsey. Milkrio's public enemy #1, though. Tensai needs to eliminate him here, and he does. But it's 97% captured on the point so far. And Suzuki might be able to just bum rush this onto the point. No, not even a bum rush. A full-on push with the monster truck mech in. And that's it. Aphelion Esports, they take set #1.
I mean, that score was 100-50. It did not feel that way. I feel like that was some good, chip percentage in there at the end, if you will. I think they just played it comfortably. They regrouped. They sent their 3. But I think you're going to have to go back to the drawing board if you're Crazy Raccoon. I agree. Before the draft, that Meg pick was really sneaky. It's something that I kind of forgot about just because usually it's in the ban phase or in pick #1, pick #2 kind of status, and they didn't really have an easy way to deal with that. I love Crazy Raccoon, and these players always stick to their guns. They play what they're comfortable with. They play what they shine on, and sometimes they're going to get out-drafted. That's just kind of part of the strategy I feel like they run. Not to say that they're bad drafters by any means, but I think it's something just in general I've noticed over the last couple years with these guys is they just believe in themselves and believe in the brawlers. It's just what they're going to play, and Byron is somebody they've played for a long time. No stranger to East Asia, like you mentioned earlier, too, but, it's going to lead sometimes to dangerous brawlers like Meg getting loose, and they just have to live with that.
This is precisely what I started to touch on before I was so rudely interrupted by Suzuki absolutely popping off on the Meg and getting those home runs, as you put it. It's a great way of explaining precisely what was going on. Yeah, Crazy Raccoon. And also, look, they've got some pretty clean stat lines here. Tensai with 9 kills. Compared to Aphelion Esports, it's a lot more kills, but they haven't gotten that controlled point like Aphelion was able to do. And I think in a lot of ways, it's because of the out-draft. Crazy Raccoon, it's like you said, they go with brawlers that they're comfortable with, and often they try to just mechanic stiff their way out of things, but Aphelion Esports brought an out comp because they had that Meg, and it was simply too much for Crazy Raccoon to deal with.
Yeah, and I think Byron, of course, like all 3 of those brawlers, all good on that map. I can see it. Byron a little newer to me. I'm still getting used to it, but it's something that I've seen a ton in East Asia scrims, so I'm not going to discount at this point, especially with the buff. I think it's at least viable for these guys. And again, they were some of the best players in the world at playing this brawler. It was a region that was known for Byron, but I don't really see the synergy between Byron and Bell. I just think Byron's going to shine with different brawlers, so I didn't necessarily see that there, even though the skills are clearly there for these guys. Max pick #1 overall. Love seeing this brawler, especially as good as these guys are. They're going to really show what a world-class Max can look like.
Well, you can say that again. Max is an absolute favorite in this region and a favorite of mine to watch. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that, but Crazy Raccoon, keep in mind, they got Tensai on this roster. He's just one of the best Maxes around, and they're going to completely pivot a full 180 and go for the slowest brawler in the game, 8-bit. But I'm a big supporter of the 8-bit on this map, and I think really this draft has 8-bit written all over it, because if you look at the bans from Aphelion Esports, they got rid of the Bell. Look at Crazy Raccoon, they got rid of the Colette. It was their plan to play 8-bit anyway, but now with Bell out of the picture, it's a lot easier to make him succeed.
It's a region that loves Bell in general too, especially as a sharpshooter of choice. But I know Tensai can play those sharpshooters really well. Piper is still somebody looming that they could end up grabbing late. Love watching Tensai on that brawler. Not easy into max though, so they may avoid that. But I like 8-Bit too, a very dynamic group right there. As 8-Bit, slow guy, little arcade machine, but he hits you like a truck, man. And Max, of course, going to be able to bob and weave. The footwork so good. They're picking up a tank here a little early as well. I'm a little surprised by this. Not that Daryl is a surprising pick, but just in the sense that now it's going to give Crazy Raccoon an opportunity to counter this. No Colette on the field, which is a little bit better for Daryl's cause, but you know, he can deal a lot of damage onto that heist safe, but it's not always going to be easy, especially if you leave a 6 pick on the board.
Yeah, and something else interesting about the Daryl is that it's not really played in this region too much, so this is new from Aphelion Esports. They'll also pick up the Buzz, which is a little unusual when you are facing into someone like 8-Bit, but it looks like Aphelion Esports' strategy is, let's just run it down. Let's go straight down mid and rush this safe. Crazy Raccoon, they're going to take a bit longer to warm up and get things over to the other side, especially since Shetampo is going to be very, very slow, and they're probably going to be facing a constant onslaught with Daryl and Buzz basically getting their supers for free. Max also getting her super for free if she's running that star power, which I'd say is quite likely, and being able to speed up the other two. It's going to be tough for Crazy Raccoon to push through. I wonder if they'll be able to do it. I think it could be another outcome by Aphelion Esports.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? You know, sometimes in Brawl Stars, you're going to see some jazz compositions, right? It's going to be all about the footwork, hitting those shots, sharpshooters. Aphelion just rocking and rolling. They're going to be trying to overwhelm them with the sheer amount of HP that they have. This is not common. I feel like when you're playing somebody like Crazy Raccoon too, sometimes you just got to get crazy with it a little bit. You got to throw some stuff at them, make them react to your picks. They're going to go with Griff here, which I like. You know, wall break on this map for a long time was very important, but obviously the indestructible walls, you know, kind of changed things up. So you're going to see 8 invincible walls there. Can't take those down, which is where Griff really started to shine. But of course, Moyagoku can open up any of the other ones, kick things off too. Aphelion just rushing the mid here. A little dive forward for Suzuku, and the first victim is struck down. Another stun coming in there too, and it's a double kill. Now they're rocking and rolling down the side. The music already playing very loudly.
Yeah, well, now it's about to be some saloon music as Tensai here on the saloon 8-Bit revs up the piano, cracks his knuckles, and gets ready to get to work at mid. Milkrio, though, is having none of that business. A little max dash back towards the safe, but Tensai and Moya are back with a vengeance. Here comes Suzuku. Big grapple. He stays alive on the right side. Dempsey also with the Elim on the left. Now a bit of targeting that safe. Suzuku much of the same. Aphelion Esports converge on top of this safe with supreme velocity. Crazy Raccoon, it's time for them to push back. They've actually been defending quite well considering how quickly Aphelion Esports are able to move those bodies over to the other side.
Yeah, all things considered, this is actually still really close. Dempsey now trying to slide through, gonna go across the pond there, and Skates doesn't unfortunately get any damage in. Now Moyagoku might have an opportunity to pushing Suzuku back, and Tensai is the damage dealer that we need to look out for, especially if he gets the extra credits off. Another stun to a back and forth affair. Each side doing good work, and man, that's a lot of 720s in the air. Clean lead for Crazy Raccoon, and sometimes one push is all it takes.
It's exactly, especially when you have 8-Bit on your team. Just one opening like that is really all Crazy Raccoon needs to succeed, but they still have to defend. Keep in mind how quickly Aphelion Esports can turn this around. Here comes the movement towards the other side. Perfect full clip from Tensai to shut down Dempsey. And Milkrio almost meets a similar fate. He has to expend his final gadget to survive that super from Moya. The Crazy Raccoon, they're back in position. Here come the hatchlings and a super from Tensai. He's ready to target this safe, but they got to get rid of some of the extraneous factors first, particularly Suzuku and Dempsey, who both have supers to get themselves to the other side. Just 20 seconds on the clock. It could be possible.
And Dempsey's going to break loose. 50% now going down. A little bit of a base racist as Hoppo cleans up the top, but Tensai lasering down this high safe. With 10 seconds to go, Suzuku with no gadgets or super. Dempsey with no super. A desperation gadget to roll through, but the defense holds strong. Crazy Raccoon, the longer range composition, getting the best of game number 1.
I will applaud the creativity, but I think this is kind of what happens when you face versus 8-Bit and you don't bring any wall break, because you saw that 8-Bit turret, it just kind of chilled there. It sat there, not taking any damage at all for so long, and really the only time we saw him when it was destroyed was when Tensai was just placing one down in a different location because he felt like it. Crazy Raccoon, they are actually in a quite good spot once they get this 8-bit turret up. Until then, Aphelion Esports could be in an advantageous position, but their first push does get stymied. Crazy Raccoon already have this turret in place. Just 20 seconds in, already 720s raining down on this 8. Big stun by Suzuku, but he's not able to get that second one chained up and fired off. But we do see the wall break. This is actually great for Aphelion if they're able to get out of this downward spiral.
Ooh. Yeah, downward spiral is a good word. They're just piecing them together right now. To start off that game, they were taking out one Aphelion brawler after another, and Sitampo is still going to stick around. He's going to be dealing out some extra damage and extra kill as well. Sub 10% already, and Aphelion have yet to even touch the other safe.
Oh my goodness, that was... honestly, you said it best. Woof. Yeah, I'll see what they do for the next one. Take a sip of water. I'm a little dehydrated personally after that one. That one had me sweating, and I think we saw Crazy Raccoon sweating a bit there too. They were not going to let this one slip through their fingers.
Yeah, I mean, just two very different compositions and two very different games at that, too. I think I liked what Aphelion were trying to at least do in that first one, right? I think getting really aggressive, picking brawlers off one at a time, but I think the fact that Crazy Raccoon were able to stick together, laser one brawler onto the next, and that 8-bit turret helps you get out that extra damage, too. There were a few times here where Griff and 8-bit, they're going to be in the middle of this map, and they're going to get rushed by Buzz, who's going to be able to stun them, but it doesn't necessarily matter. They get that extra boost from the 8-bit turret, and Tenside able to just dish out that damage. 8-bit's so valuable on this map, and especially with the indestructible walls coming in too, I think that actually helps his cause a little bit, right? You're going to be forced to either avoid the wall break or just embrace it, try and break open these walls so that 8-bit's turret in these middle lanes can't get any value, and that's something that you almost have to force, and they didn't necessarily have that option. Max, of course, going to be a really good brawler. I had some good plays from Recreo, but just simply outranged here between Griff, Eve, and 8-bit. Couldn't get up close. Some insane dodges with the phase shift, but, you know, just couldn't get it done. But I respect it. I think it was an interesting strategy, a little bold, absolutely, but that's what you got to do when you're playing Crazy Raccoon. We got some defending world champions, some defending runner-ups, some previous world champions. I mean, you got to try everything.
Look, I will also applaud the strategy here of Max double tank from Aphelion Esports, because I think Crazy Raccoon, they're already getting enough love when it comes to the stats line. So many kills on their side, and, well, I mean, the end result also going to their side. It brings our match score to 1-1. We'll be heading into set number 3. Super Beach is where it's happening, and this map can get a bit funky at times, right? We like to have a fun time when it comes to the draft, precisely for things like you see on Crazy Raccoon's side. I've gotten rid of the Barley. It's one of those brawlers that unexpectedly can be very, very strong here. Aphelion also, they get rid of the M's. Sort of a favorite within this region. And a first pick, Crow by Stitnam.
Yep, Crow's still sticking around even on this map. Love to see B here too. I think B is so versatile in the meta across the board right now, especially in a tanky one. Nita, though, I like this as well. This is just going to be eliminating any opportunity for Sitampo to play those very good aggressive brawlers that he's great at. Obviously, it has him on the Crow now, but of course, you can always switch those brawlers later down the road with your teammates. And like you said, Barley, we mentioned it earlier when I was with FDOT, you know, we live in a world where all these throwers have gained so much value, and on Super Beach, so many different combos can work out. Barley, even Dynamite, has been in banned stages of BSC. That's the world we live in already. Anything can happen here. That's why I love Brawl Ball right now. The state of it is so good, and now we get to see Sandy in the play too. Gosh, it's good to see him be back in business.
Sandy is definitely a brawler that I'm happy to see back too, just because I feel like for a while he was a little underrated, especially his super strong. However, it still takes forever to charge, and I think that this will be an appropriate lane versus Nita, so that I think is a good decision in the department of Crazy Raccoon. They still have one more brawler that they can go with here. Could be something a little creative, especially tank bustery. Yep, there's the Surge selection, because Aphelion Esports, with the final selection, they do have a lot of power here. They've picked 2 brawlers that are insane into tanks, therefore eliminating them from the possibilities that Crazy Raccoon could deal with. So now they have one more selection. Keep in mind they are going to be facing into the Surge. What will it be?
Yeah, really interesting. I love watching this region in general. I just get excited when I see brawlers that we haven't seen in a while. I want to see what Sandy can do. Spike going to be the option here. I think that's a pretty generally safe choice, but also into the single shot brawler of Surge can be really solid. And I think Spike into Sandy can be a little sneaky too, right? You get that long distance, the high DPS. Sandy has a little bulk to him, but not too much to where if Spike just keeps his distance, he's okay. No matter how they spin it, Spike's going to land really well into all three of these brawlers. Also a very general lane to counter out the Crow. Not a hard counter, but just a very solid matchup for Spike. Very safe pick as well, like I said. So I like this finish right here. I think Aphelion Esports, once again, very impressed with their drafting.
Same here. It's not usual in this region that we see teams deviate from the same handful of brawlers from one set to the next or one match to the next even. We saw it at the World Finals. It seemed like Zeta Zero won the entire thing by selecting the same 3 brawlers for every single match, but it's completely different now. Different game, and Crazy Raccoon know that they have to step it up with some of their selections, but Moya is already shut down on the left side. Suzuki gets to push forward. Milkrio is in a decent position. He does get slowed down. Crazy Raccoon get themselves a bit of room to come back, especially Moya. He needs to get that level 2 fairly quickly, but it's going to be a huge challenge because Milkrio is determined to keep him out of range and not feeding that super if he can.
Yeah, Moya Goku's going to struggle here if he doesn't manage to get this super, and when we get Bruce the Bear on the field too as a single shot brawler, Dempsey can really overrun that right-hand lane. Sandy, of course, trying to close the gap here, but not going to be easy, especially with the slowdown coming in from that mythical gear. Suzuki making this lane wide open. Now Tensai forced to play a little bit of goalkeeper. These indestructible walls are going to make it a little tougher on B, but if they can get enough kills here, should be able to generate some good offense. Aphelion looking like they're in the driver's seat right now.
Could very well change if Moya gets a good super on the right side. He's at level 1, but he'll upgrade to level 2 and get a good stomp. He does go for the super to the backside. In the same breath, Tensai gets eliminated. It's a 3v2 push. Tetampo's seriously feeling the brunt of it. He's going to try and defend, but he gets taken down while trying to defend. Milkrio with a slot in, and Aphelion Esports up 1 goal.
Creo hitting some nasty shots right now. Just simply refuses to miss. Even the goat Satapo getting tagged up here. Dempsey now walking down the right-hand side. Super shot through. Tensai survives, though. Nice interception, and just gonna have to put this one aside for now. Go back to the drawing board. About 40 seconds to go. A lot of Brawl left to be played, and of course, with the Sandy gadget, everything can change, and I'm sure they're gonna want to get that ball in Sandy's hands.
Well, Shitampo has his position on the right side. He's trying to make a move on Dempsey. He does get some of these chip shots around the corner. This is what I was talking about with clipping those shots through the sides and having Sandy face versus Nita. So far, he's keeping on trading out shots. Could have that stun in here. There it is, but not the Elim just yet, but he does farm up that super. Here comes the stick around, a jump in from Moya. They gotta go now, just 10 seconds left. Honey Molasses on the left side is slowing things down supremely. Here comes Chitampo with a big play and the stun as well to lock things in as we head into overtime, but 2 walls stand clear. Moya on the left side also has his upgrade. He'd keep on moving forward. Milkrio is going to be the biggest enemy to face here since he does have the longest range. B, always a menace when all those walls break down.
Absolutely, and I think it's really good that CR took over here early in overtime, but a nice pickup here on this left-hand side. Sandy, Crow not going to have the best range, not the highest DPS, and now Suzuki going to be able to take advantage of this matchup, get some good chip shots. Satampo doing his best to dodge things out. 30 seconds to go. Aphelion still need to move this ball up the field, though, if they want to take this over.
Could happen. 20 seconds remain. Crazy Raccoon still stand strongly in this formation. Dempsey going to refresh that Honey Molasses. Could fall. Tensai's determined to keep things back. But here comes the Bear. It's blocking out so much damage. Tensai needs to go for a jump or something to keep things back. Shitetampo also trying to put up some good opposition. A jump in. Dempsey could have the play around the left. Needs some elims to Suzuki trying to get these last shots. And Dempsey has the angle. No, he's not going to be able to pass it through. And it is a tie. Wow, photo finish here, especially how Crazy Raccoon were able to make this happen. Check out this play from Shitetampo. Just frame perfect plays to send us into OT.
Oh, I'm gonna need a water break after that one, Ready. I am sweating this one out. Back and forth for both sides. I am super impressed with Aphelion. We talk about Crazy Raccoon a lot, deservingly so. They deserve all the media attention and all the credit in the world, but Aphelion are toe-to-toe with them right now. Big shot coming in from Milcreo. Tinsai trying to dodge low HP, but a healthy Dempsey on the top right. Super kick over to the right-hand side, passes it right into the hands just to get a takedown. And Aphelion gonna stunt on him a little bit here. Let that clock wind down and pick them up a goal. Nicely played.
And in just 28 seconds, too. And hey, they waited at the goal for a moment there as well. Let's see the bear on the right side, though. Dempsey's going to try and push forward. We'll see it defended by Stetampo. We'll take it down. Dempsey has the angle. Could see a pinch between Milcreo and Dempsey. Meanwhile, on the left side, Moya's pushed things back a lot versus Suzuki, who's kind of turtling up. Good elim on the top right by Milcreo. Dempsey staying inside of these root sands and going to end up falling down, actually. I wonder if he noticed that he was going to fall thanks to those sands. Still, though, Aphelion Esports are able to stay in this formation, but they have forfeited some territory as a result of that death.
Yeah, Tinsai, Stetampo trying to get themselves some positioning here, but a giant Bruce Bear are going to make it a little tougher on him, and still a tier 1 surge. Pass over to the mid now as Milcreo's going to walk this one up a little bit. A Crow diving out of desperation. A trade's exactly what they needed. A power up from Moyagoku, a super inbound too. Going to keep him at that tier 2 stage as Suzuki finally falls. Dempsey picks it up, kicks it over the right-hand side for now, and CR have less than a minute to go to tie things up.
That was a phenomenal defense there from Suzuki as he prevented the pass to Moya by getting that area control around the ball. Single-handedly kept Crazy Raccoon from scoring that goal, and now as the clock keeps on ticking down, we're still a 1-0 scoreline. Aphelion Esports in the lead currently. Dempsey could get some good shots chained together on the right side. Stetampo and Tinsai team up to make this work. 3v2, but not really any ideal goal-scoring brawlers in position. Suzuki especially is able to defend this once again with a stick around. Here it is on a Tinsai. Could be a surprise ambush from the right side. 1-2 shots. He's not quite taken down. Moya on the left side has that super. Not going to be able to pop it off. Stetampo has a combo. No, not going to be able to reach Milcreo. And Aphelion Esports just might have this game.
Yeah, 10 seconds to go. Tinsai the only one in sight. I mean, Moyagoku has a miniature jump. Crow with the big one, but not nearly long enough to get across a spike super. Aphelion Esports making it count right now. Take that opportunity, score early, and held on to that lead. 1-0 here as we approach game number 3, but still only one has been a winner.
Exactly, and hey, leave it to Super Beach to make this kind of stuff happen because it can be such a wacky map at times, not just in the draft, but how things get played out. And one of the big reasons for that happening is the mid matchup. We see Milcreo into Tinsai, two brawlers that don't necessarily face versus each other very well. Oh, big takedown into Moya on the right side, but a big slow from Tinsai. This is going to try and make this work. Here it comes. He's forced to clear out of the way because he would have gotten taken down in close range. The Aphelion Esports, once again, this is the second time in a row they've started off the game with a super fast goal, and now they'll just ride it out.
I just feel like this composition is so tough to play into. No matter how you spin it, there's great lanes for all three of those brawlers. B, so much more range in the mid. Sandy gets outranged by Spike. Surge, well, taking advantage here. I was about to say when Bruce the Bear's down, it's a little tough, but Moyagoku making it look easy right now. Tinsai with a super in hand too. Moya diving in here, and it's going to be a tag onto Milcreo. Suzuki sprinting back and forth. Tinsai jumping in here now, looking for a kick. Couldn't quite get it off in time, but two brawlers standing for CR. Stetampo, no gadget needed. And all of a sudden looking alive, tied up here in a replay of game number 2.
Brilliant dive onto the back lines here from Crazy Raccoon, and now they might be able to make it happen again, but they got to get these supers farmed up first. And in all of the aftermath, Moya was still able to get another super, so he'll be able to upgrade to level 3 for the time being, just waiting for Dempsey to make the first move since he knows he'll be able to get another super farmed off of this. Not going to go too aggressive because he can't end up farming that super. The Nita Bear counters him so hard. An attempt by Stetampo to freeze up Milcreo, but he was just barely out of range. Crazy Raccoon and Aphelion Esports playing a little stalematey at the moment, but Crazy Raccoon know that they have to make the first move because they don't want to face versus B in overtime.
I think it's a great point too, and I think this is just a lot of respect being shown by both teams, each knowing that if they slip up even a little bit, miss a dodge, whatever have it, they're going to get punished for it. And right now, CR are trying to take advantage, be in overtime a menace, spike in overtime a menace. No real long-range threats here for Crazy Raccoon. They need to hold this positioning here as we approach the end of this clock.
Well, Crazy Raccoon, once again, I mean, it's precisely what we saw on the last goal. They were able to make this work by getting a super in. Milcreo has his slow, but Tensai, more importantly, has the jump. He was able to close in on this ball. There might be a kill shot for Crazy Raccoon. Moya decides to upgrade to level 3. Here comes the invisibility. Stetampo tries to circle around to the back line. Suzuku's determined also to scout out some of these enemies using the vision gear. Stetampo now with that super down. Tensai impact on arrival as Milcreo now has that final shot. Big impact with the charged up B. Stetampo slowed down. This could be it for Stetampo. He falls, and Crazy Raccoon now to gear up for a defense.
This is going to be a tough defense, too. Tensai with the dodges as much as he can, but when 3 brawlers are shooting at you, there's only so much you can do. Milcreo has an insta-B load ready to go. Moya being punished for it right now. Stetampo trying to get aggressive with all the HP that he has, and as beautifully of a dodger as he is, this is going to be a tough one to overcome. 20 seconds to go. Eventually, they're just going to be fighting the clock here.
15-second countdown active. Might be a super for Moya. He went for it, but Milcreo was able to defend. Could be another super coming through. Tensai especially. Jump in, pass up to Moya or someone, anyone. A full team wipe, and Crazy Raccoon take that goal. We're going to a 1-1 scoreline within the game, a 1-1 scoreline within the match. It doesn't get more even than this until, of course, we head to double match point, and that very well might be where we're headed, considering how even this entire match has been so far.
Oh, my heart can't take this already. I mean, I think Crazy right in the clock. They just need to end the game. Just hold the defense. No, they go for the counter push. Get themselves some good offense. And Dempsey really showcasing the offense. Shut down by Moya Goku, though. And now it's going to put Suzuku in a difficult situation. 3 versus 1. And Milcreo going to have very limited angles with this 3-pronged wall that's invincible right in front of him. Tensai trying to hold the line. Moya Goku, a very early tier 2 compared to the other games. Looking alive here for Crazy Raccoon. And there's a reason they're so darn good.
No doubt. And let's also note, Aphelion Esports, they didn't get that early game goal within the first 30 seconds like they have for the past 2 games, which is a little concerning from their perspective. Crazy Raccoon continue to hold their position and also push things forward a little bit. They still have to make the first move. They can't let this go into OT and face the B once again. They were able to clutch it out last time, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Still, just minor moves in here. Got to see who gets that first super. We already see Moya has a level 2, and he has an upgrade ready to go with his gadget, but those are in short supply. Just 3 per game, and they can't break this offense. Dempsey now with the push in, but a responsive invisibility. It's time to play defense. Milcreo with the ball in the back lines. They know exactly what's coming their way.
Yeah, and we haven't seen enough of those Sandy supers, too. That's finally something that's going to be a difference maker here as Stetampo gets the cleanup. Moya Goku sprinting it on in, holds the line and dumps it in the goal. Easy money for Crazy Raccoon as they now have the lead.
Moya has a super in. He's got that upgrade. He has extended range. Milcreo, though, now passing the ball around the left side is a bit concerning as Crazy Raccoon are on supreme defense. Moya takes advantage of a lone Suzuku on the back lines to get a kill and even farm up another super, it looks like. Now, with invisibility going down, Dempsey could get a bit tricky. A combo, a jump up in the air, no way. Tensai goes down upon arrival, and Crazy Raccoon finds themselves tied with Aphelion Esports.
Surprise, we got another lead change. I mean, this has been crazy. This is crazy. Everybody is playing so darn well. I still don't know who's going to ultimately come away with this one, but if that's any sign of anything, Milcreo with a nice shot coming in there. Moya Goku, only one standing shot forward for funsies, but it's actually a misplay. There's still hope. Super pass forward, not chancing. Drop it in the goal, brother. End it here. Take your winnings and run. Aphelion Esports. My goodness, they have come to play today.
My God, and just that defense right there. I don't know. I was so surprised it made a sound that I didn't know I was capable of making. What a defense, and a near clutch there too. It has been neck and neck this entire time. Dude, same here. Just, yeah, I can't believe what I'm seeing, but I'm here for it. It just is so exciting. We got 3 matches to get through. This is the very first one. I don't know if I'm gonna have the stamina for all of this. It is exhausting because it's just that high octane. This is what you come to East Asia for. Brilliant stuff from both sides, but ultimately, Aphelion Esports come out on top. Not what I predicted, but I'm certainly happy to see the lead change.
Yeah, I'm forgetting about predictions at this point. No matter how this ends, it's going to be an awesome finish. It's either going to be Crazy Raccoon making an epic comeback here and one for the 2023 season to remember, or it's going to be Aphelion Esports being the first to take down the heavy favorites here by many of y'all at home. Again, Crazy Raccoon had 70% of the votes, including all of us at the panel. I'm really impressed with what I've seen again on any given day. These guys can bring it, and I'm just really liking the compositions they're selecting too. I think that's been a noteworthy thing on sets number 1 and sets number 3 especially. I've really liked their matchups. I think in terms of brawler lanes, they've done a good job putting themselves in very solid positioning. You can see it here too, the DPS all over the place with these guys. Kills everywhere, just really showing how prolonged that set was, but they're keeping up with the Titans of this region. I'm absolutely here for it. This one is going to be a heck of a finish.
I love this line of stats here because, like you pointed out, it's low DPS but high kill count, primarily because, yeah, okay, they played 4 games total within this best of 3, but secondarily, that was really, really long and drawn out. Every single game got down to the wire. We saw it go to OT numerous times, and it comes down to how solid they are in the mechanics, how often they play footsies on those lanes and only end up winning or getting a kill by a micro play. Welcome to East Asia, man. It's what we like to see here is the supreme mechanics. But if we talk Aphelions department, they've got it locked down on the draft, and I expect to see just that. As we head into set 4, it's Bell's Rock.
A lot of different ways you can go with this one too. I'm curious to see what ends up being in the ban phase here. You're going to see that little L-shaped wall on the top left and the bottom right. That's where throwers are really going to start to shine. We've been seeing them a lot more in that ban stage. You know, for a long time, we had these aggressive tanky brawlers that can deal really well, and they still can, but it's a little bit more difficult now that we have those indestructible walls and Blade Tick going to be in the ban phase. We even see a Byron in the ban phase coming in from Crazy Raccoon. Again, it's a different world, and it's one of the reasons I love this game so much. It's ever-changing. Everybody's got their own unique spin on it. It just shows how many viable brawlers there are, too. Just a little bit different flair every single time. I'm sure Crazy Raccoon are going to have a lot to go through their minds here. I mean, as exhausted as I am, and as much as we joke, I can't imagine what these guys are going through right now. This has been by far one of the more competitive matches we've seen all year across the world, I will add, too. This is going to be one that goes down for the record books this year, and will certainly be one we're going to come back to.
Hey, Aphelion Esports and Crazy Raccoon, I mean, either one of these teams is heading on to the grand final in, well, I mean, about 30 to 45 minutes after their match ends. And I don't think that's going to be enough time to fully rejuvenate from all of this action because we're not even finished just yet. But Aphelion Esports, they could close it out here if they get the set victory. Otherwise, it's headed on to set number 5. Now, how do they plan on doing that, though? Well, Piper is their very first selection. B, they follow it up. I think that this leaves them a bit vulnerable to some brawlers that can force themselves in close range. We know that Fang is definitely no stranger to being picked here in this region, but Aphelion Esports can give it stiff opposition. Here's the RT, which this is our first introduction to RT in the BSC this month, and let's see what they're capable of with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, the little robot head peeking out spooked me a little bit. He got very large on my screen and startled me, but I'm excited to see him. I always love seeing the new brawlers be incorporated. I don't know if he's going to be insanely dominant. I don't know. It depends on the map. You know, it's still a whole new world with RT here, but we're cycling in a new brawler yet again. Definitely see him scrim quite a bit. I think a lot of teams are trying to get their feelers out for how valuable he can be. This is the first really big BSC competition where he slides through. He wasn't even in the qualifier stages, so this is going to be really awesome to kind of see how that plays out. Big fan of the Sprout here on this map too, especially if you can cycle those walls properly. You're really going to be able to punish the enemy.
Yeah, this is one of my personal beliefs. If you are playing Brawl Stars, right, you have first pick and the enemy gets Sprout as their last pick, then you have done something wrong in the draft. I know that's a piping hot take, but let me explain. There are no tank counters on the side of Crazy Raccoon. There's very little they'll be able to, or not tank counters, but thrower counters. And there's not much they'll be able to do versus Suzuku once it comes down to who's behind the wall and who isn't? Aphelion Esports could have the outcomp. Crazy Raccoon really playing on the back foot at the moment. They have to play footsies once again, and it's going to be tough when Moya can't even really touch Suzuki on this mid lane.
Yeah, it's going to be a really difficult spot. Moyagoku nearly getting cut off, but it's going to be Piper on the left-hand side. Suzuku now in the mid, and alone Satampo trying to deal with three very powerful brawlers at this moment. And of course, Gus, not known for being a DPS dealer, definitely not the biggest killer on the field, not dealing that damage that Piper can deal. And I think it's just going to be something they're going to have to balance here. If Gus is the final brawler standing, I think it's going to be really difficult no matter the situation for them to win this.
Here he comes once again. The hedge down. Could be that final shot onto Moya. Can't get too aggressive though. Tensai certainly looking to shut him down. Suzuki has the wall refreshed. Take down onto Tensai. It's already a 2v3. It's not looking good for Crazy Raccoon. There's a shield onto Moya, but he's just up against the wall. There's nothing he can do for Suzuki unless he gets really close to the wall. Might be able to hit him through there, but a 2v3 might already be a death sentence for Crazy Raccoon. They're going for absolutely everything they can, and even then, it's not enough.
I think this is another situation where the composition is so strong. Aphelion are good enough players. If they outdraft you enough, they're going to be able to beat anybody out there. And not to say that CR aren't drafting well. I just feel like the Aphelion ones are standing out to me a bit more. And I think you made a really good point about Sprout. I think that's not a flaming hot take. I think right now Sprout is somebody that's going to be really able to shine here. We pointed it out too. Cycling at those walls is so important. You're really cutting off any usability from Moyagoku as kind of Squeak. You know, he's just going to be running into the Sprout walls, and what can he do? He can't lob shots over unless he has a super. Satampo taking some heavy heat here too. If he gets cut off by a Sprout wall, they get value there too. They can craft this map however they want as long as Suzuki has a super in hand.
Look, I just don't think that there's an out mechanics, like a mechanics diff win here for Crazy Raccoon. I'm almost tempted to say it's over already unless Crazy Raccoon are miracle workers. They've been to the World Finals before. They've gotten some wins under their belt. But even then, I feel like there's something even world champions can't do, which is take down a Sprout when you got no thrower counters on Bell's Rock, no less. But still, with the poison at their backs, they're forced to close in. They got to fight for their life, but still no kills unless we're talking Aphelion Esports already shut down the left side. Milkrio goes for 2, 3 for Dimsy. 1 round separates Aphelion Esports from going on to the grand finals.
Milkrio with the super in hand here too. No super availables on that top side. We really haven't gotten to see what RT can do here, and they're even going to change up the lanes just a little bit. Satampa with all the range in the world with the Gus is going to have to hit a lot of shots to deal enough damage here. Moyagoku hovering down the mid now, and Tensai just dodging for his life right now. Dempsey on the B has been clean with it. Suzuki playing it safe too. The Moyagoku gadget can go a long way, but Sprout neutralizes it once again. Loving this brawler pick more and more as we go along.
Moya probably not leveling it though, because he's kind of the butt of the joke here. He's got to face versus Suzuki, and he can't really do much damage. He's just got to dodge out the shots and then attack once Suzuki does not use his gadget. He's only used one so far. He's got gadgets to spare. Crazy Raccoon might be able to push in once again, take down Chitampo on the left side. I think we've seen Milkrio win this lane every single time this whole set. Take down to Dimsy though is not the worst look, but here comes the hedge separating the two. Moya could clutch it out, but it's gonna be tough. Coming around the right side, needs these shots in. Suzuki keeping him outrange. Not enough health. Moya cycling around in the poison. And Aphelion Esports, they've done it. They've taken down Crazy Raccoon. And Kenny, we fall together, because that was our prediction, but it's still such a huge win for Aphelion Esports, taking down the absolute champions in this region.
Both players with absolutely stunning looks on their faces, but such different emotions. You can see it in Tensai here. Just feels like disappointment, right? On the other side, they're just blessed to be here, right? It's the same players, but you know what? Maybe we all need to start changing names. Maybe that's what it takes here. Every month, if you lose, on to the next one, erase the name. Maybe there's something about it magical, and maybe we'll see that with Reject too. Maybe it'll hold true and they'll get another W here as well. But impressive stuff to say the least. I can't say it enough. This is a very good team in CR. I expect them to win plenty more monthly finals ahead, but they've got challengers. This is not an easy region. I would say arguably one of the most top heavy out there. We have 4 very good teams in these semifinals. So on any given month, man, CR can go down too.
Crazy Raccoon, they've been tamed for now, but they'll be coming back with a rabid vengeance next month. There is no doubt in my mind. But their approach to all of it, it's got to be draft-wise, because this last set, I think, looked the most certain of all. Look, we're casters, we're talking heads, but when it comes to scorelines like these and drafts like these, I think we're qualified to make the call. When you got Sprout in that kind of draft, it's over before the game even starts. I would say it's about 80% of the win is how did your draft go. And for Aphelion Esports, I mean, the stats speak for themselves.
Yeah, 1 total kill for the side of Crazy Raccoon. There's not a lot of teams that can, say they've done this well in a set against these guys. Again, can't harp on it enough. Arguably the World Finals favorite for this year coming into this season. So many pro players. Early congratulations even to them. Just, half joking, obviously. Everyone's competing, but that's the kind of threat that these guys have. So the fact that Milcreo, Dempsey, Suzuku could really come away with this is so impressive to me. They are now immediately a threat that the world needs to know about. I think a lot of people coming into this season too, they knew about Reject, they knew about Chasmac Gaming EA. Those are guys that all have some players that were in the World Finals last year, but these guys have been right here the whole time, and a well-crowned MVP for my man Suzuku. Beautifully played, and I am so excited to see what they can do in this Grand Finals.
So deserved. Suzuku started to stand out to me a lot within this match, specifically when we saw that Meg gameplay on Open Zone, and it stayed true for the entire time. So well played, so well deserved by Aphelion Esports, and we made our predictions at the beginning, and now looks like things are going counter to our predictions. Let's see how that bracket has developed, because instead of Crazy Raccoon advancing on the Grand Finals, it is Aphelion Esports in a furious 3-1 victory. But it does take us into our semifinals. We have to find a worthy challenger for Aphelion, and, well, it'll be either Reject or Chasmac Gaming EA. And both of these teams faced each other last month. It is a grudge match. Do you think it'll go differently from last month?
After that last match, I'm questioning a little bit of everything here, Reddy. It's hard to be as confident as I was, but I'm going to stay disciplined. Reject won this one 3-0 last month. They looked like the better team to me. I think coming in, we kind of looked at it, for me at least, as Crazy Raccoon at the top, and then a 2A, 2B situation. I gave a slight favorite to these guys, previously known as Guts, of course, Achapi, Menmi, Levi, all phenomenal, but a 3-0 made me feel like it was a 1-2-3 situation. But now we got Aphelion in the mix. I don't know who's number 1 anymore, but I'm just gonna hold the line. I'm gonna stick with my guns. I'm gonna go with Reject still, but Chasmac Gaming EA, absolutely a great team too.
Well, Rejects aside, we'll talk about their opponents across the way. It's Kenji, Melty, and Kuru. We've seen all of these guys on the big stage before. They're fighting for their chance to advance there once again. These guys also pretty star-studded players within this region, very storied, with a lot of history behind them and a lot of history to make in the future too. We didn't see them go too far last month. They weren't able to make it to the Grand Finals, but I think they still got a horse in this race. Like you though, Kenny, I did predict Reject to make it to the final stage here in the Grand Finals, so we'll see how exactly it pans out. It could be upsets all the way around.
Agreed. I mean, like I said, anything can happen on any given day. CMG certainly have the talent. I mean, Kenji and Kuru, very household names in the Brawl Stars world, but Melty Kiss is somebody that's really impressed me as well through doing kind of scouting reports, seeing practices, last year's competitions as well. No stranger to being in the spotlight. So I think this is going to be a really fun one as well. Anytime I get to see a Choppy take the field too for Reject, it's always a really fun one as well. And Levi is somebody that's been a little bit newer to me as well and has jumped right in and been really impressive too. A lot of players that are still growing and showing what they got. I think a lot of players in East Asia, I'm going to kind of call it a legacy year, especially for somebody like a Choppy who ventured out on his own. All those Zeta 0 guys and Zeta 1 guys kind of paired up with at least 1 to 2 other people. And, he wanted to play with other people, or maybe it wasn't his choice. Maybe they told him, these are our guys, and he had to do his best to find others. And getting second place last month, I think, is a big deal. So if this guy can somehow find his way to a 3rd Brawl Stars World Finals, would be absolutely insane.
No doubt. We'll see how exactly they navigate it. We'll see a Sprout first pick from Chasmac Gaming EA. That's a little unusual considering how, well, easy it is to counter Sprout, and also considering the fact that we're on Shooting Star. I would consider it bizarre even as a last pick contrary to what I said at the end of the last match. We'll see what Reject decides to do to counter this out. They might choose not to counter it out at all because it might not even deserve that much attention. That said, there are plenty of good sharpshooters to go with here. They got to make sure that they don't get countered, though. They do have the last pick. Also, let's keep that in mind. Gus, pretty safe selection. Also enables them to go something like Carl if they decide to for the last pick.
Yeah, Sprout doesn't super surprise me here with the indestructible walls. It's definitely something that I've seen start to trend up. You're going to see Tick in the ban stage, Grom, somebody that can be available for them. I will say, when doing some looks at their scrims, they had some interesting choices. Byron, you see in the ban phase, was one brawler I noted, but somebody that's an old classic brawler. Leon is somebody that's kind of sneaky here, and especially when I see somebody like Sprout, I think there's a decent chance, it is just practices. Ultimately, it's not what they're doing in BSC, but they're practicing what they play. So I'm kind of curious to see if they end up going with a bolder choice like Leon. It's somebody I saw pretty consistently in practices. So very interesting stuff coming out. I think Sprout as a first pick, like you mentioned, though, I think is warranted to be a little dangerous just because you can bring in those tankier brawlers or find some counters. But, wall break isn't as easy of an option. I think it's going to decrease the proc stock. Somebody that can tear down those walls, increase the thrower stock. Somebody like Tick, Sprout, and Grom specifically on this map. Dinah and Barley, while they are a little higher in the play rate right now, definitely not on this map.
Not at all. And look, Kenny, I see what you mean. I did get a little jump scared by the RT there. I'm not going to lie in the introduction, but he's here to play. And he's here with Nanny as well. Wonder how that exactly is going to pan out because we've seen RT ban, we've seen him selected. Didn't get to see too much action from the guy, but this time might be our chance. Still playing into quite long-range sharpshooter brawlers. Reject can go with something to counter out the Sprout if they so desire. I mentioned the Carl. You can get the blue star for free. It might be exactly what they want to do, but still, they have plenty of time to choose what exactly it is. Keep in mind, they might not want to go for something too squishy because they'll be facing versus that Nanny. We all know how much damage autofocus can do. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. And Menmi is going to be enabling some good close-range combat with Kenji once he gets that teleport up.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've talked to pro players about recently too, is that Gray is somebody that can still go under or teleport or however the little hole that he creates works, but it's somebody that can get up close and personal with the throwers, which is, still continued to give him that value, even though, he has received some nerfs more recently. He was very, very strong at a pro level, and anytime he can teleport, so valuable. But I think this is where we can get a little bit of a, he's a sharper shooter, but also can deal well with these indestructible walls. 4-pronged walls, that's a lot to deal with. So Kenji can certainly still shine here, but if Levi gets the teleport, could be a major threat.
Well, Levi, he's working on that teleport, but he's already gotten that more important thing, which is the blue star off the beginning. Now they gotta get to sit back and not play too aggressive. They know that Chasmac Gaming EA is gonna be playing into them, so they get to fight on their terms. Kenji gets yanked forward a little bit. Big destruction there with the overgrowth. Chasmac Gaming EA now find themselves in the lead, and they've gotten that blue star. Such good value off that shot from Kenji as they own the mid area. Here comes the peep in as well, circling around to get some extra damage for autofocus. Levi might fall. Kuru falls in turn, and Menmi is pretty safe here. Reject find themselves in the lead once more.
Yeah, a little back and forth right now. Both sides landing some really good shots. We've seen some big moments from Kenji, but now through for Levi. This is the matchup that they wanted to look for. A 1,000 extra HP, and Inspector Gray finds himself a kill and a safe escape.
That was spectacular. First of all, get over here, yanks him through the indestructible wall, and then adds insult to injury by teleporting right onto him. It was almost comical to watch just how disrespectful that is versus Kenji. It puts Reject even further in the lead. Chasmac Gaming EA don't have much time to respond. Melty does have a super that he can use to go aggro in the final moments, but he has that sort of noose hanging over his head. The use of Bell's super is going to make him take a lot more damage. Toppy could fall here. We see the peep towards the back lines. Levi survives and tanks it. Reject still firmly in the lead with countdowns active. It's time to see that super come out from our team.
Yeah, they need 2 kills, and one of them's going to have to be Levi here, but Kenji taking some heavy heat right now. Melty has been marked by a Choppy as well. Does get the pickup, but a trade at that too. Back and forth, 1 star being the difference, but Menmi survives. Beautiful stuff coming through here. A little bit of a new flair with RT made that fun. Sprout had some big moments, but Inspector Gray, that was the man that caught my eye for sure.
Dude, That was such a spectacular play, I must say. Yank him through the wall. Just unreal. And then on top of that, teleport on him once he gets away. We could very much see that again. Levi, he's not going to have as easy of a time getting that blue star from the beginning, and I take it back immediately. Chasmac Gaming EA, they back off. Gets that blue star for free. And Reject now get to fall back, but they don't want to do so without their supers. They'll let this line of scrimmage slowly retreat towards their side. Get a few abilities along the way.
Yeah, and I like this from Levi too. Gets that blue star, and normally you're only going to see throwers do that, but he's looking for those opportunities right there, daring Kenji to step forward because Levi is looking to punish a very healthy Melty on the side here. Super hand. Didn't get to see a ton of that in the last one, but there's the pull through as well. Kenji does manage to stay alive, but a cutoff there gonna make it difficult for Mimi to kind of step through. Kuru looking for shots, but a good recovery here. It's gonna be a small lead for Chasmac Gaming EA for now.
They're getting pushed all the way to the back lines. This could be where Melty decides to use a super, though we didn't see him use that super a single time in the last game until it was the final moments, and he just did it because, yeah, the game's over. I'll just pop the super. But still, Chasmac Gaming EA lead by 1 star. They're going to play this really, really carefully. Melty, he's focused on tagging up these enemies, making them take additional damage. And he tries to make a play on the left side. He could get pinched if he's not careful. Melty senses the opportunity. Need to see a shot from Kuru. A bit of an explosion from the Ghost, but Minmi gets taken down. Reject still at a loss. 25 seconds remain for Chasmac Gaming EA to keep defending.
3-6 here, and a couple big mistakes, I'll say, from Reject there, and Mimi gonna get tagged up there as well. They need one good push. 3 stars being the difference maker, but Kenji's not gonna be enough. They have to aim at Kuru or Melty here. They're all being rushed to this back left-hand side, but you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna route wall rethrow as well. I was nervous for him. Little misstep, all good. You can see the stress in the emote as well. But beautifully played. I mean, very smart. Why fight when you don't have to? You can just sit in the corner comfortably out of harm's way. No wall break available. Well done there.
I mean, can't we just all be friends? It's wow. It's just you, me, and this giant hedge that I've placed between us. Isn't it so splendid? If you catch the reference, let us know. But Chasmac Gaming EA, off of that, they corner themselves like a ball in a game where SK is playing, and Reject still managed to take this first star, the blue star, in fact, just how they've started every single game so far. Chasmac Gaming EA are going to fight their hearts out to bring it back.
Levi just continuing to hit these gadgets, and I think if they can avoid those couple little mistakes, again, little mistakes, but Chasmac Gaming a good enough team at a professional level to really make those mistakes count. Now, kind of getting aggressive here. Nest Egg on this right-hand side. Melty continuing to duel alongside Bell. Kenji wants to move up a little bit down this right-hand side. Is actually going to trigger that Nest Egg, which I think is really good for them as well. Need to be careful here, but everybody kind of just finding their bearings, looking for the first mistake or kill. Minute to go, nothing being transcribed yet.
Chasmac Gaming EA still, they try to cement this line of scrimmage. We've just dipped below the 1 minute mark in this game. Reject, fighting their hearts out, still trying to maintain the position. It's going to be tough. Chasmac Gaming EA suffering huge heavy fire on the left side too as Kuru has trickled down. Minmi sensing an opportunity also to regain a bit of positioning. Now, just below 35 seconds. We see the Ghost on the ground, ready for Minmi to pop it. It's not going to pop just yet. Reject, they're determined to slow down the pace of the game and maintain the lead of just 1 blue star.
This get really dicey here too with a few seconds left, and super still available. There's the pull. Levi needs to dodge though. A bubble coming through for Mimi to keep his teammate alive, and now a connection there as well. Still no kills. Each side looking for the first.
Just a few seconds left. Chasmac Gaming EA need to push in. Kenji, Melty, both on low health, but they're the only ones who can get kills. Kenji trying to defend himself, gets popped out of the position by a choppy, a kill, and Reject remain in the lead. Photo finish here, real close few games, but in the end, it's Rejects on top.
Yeah, the The dodges from Gray towards the end of that game were magnificent. I think it's something that kept them in that, didn't give up that very crucial kill, and managed to keep them just enough of a lead to hold on. That was a very calculated game number 3. Each side kind of just waiting around, and CMG, I think, played that very smartly. They waited till the very end. Obviously, Blue Star and Reject's hands, they can play it a little bit slower, but, you know, CMG kind of have to force their way down there, and they wait till the final moments. The goal there, of course, being they want to be the last one to get a kill and walk away.
Well, what a match this was. Check this out. The pull through and the teleport forward by Levi. It was non-stop plays by this guy. Look at this finish. But Chasmac Gaming EA, they were almost able to react quickly enough to bring that game back in their favor. Towards the end here in game number 3, you see on the right side, this was really the opportunity for things to turn out differently. Melty goes down the left side, and Kuru got the kill on the right. Had one of them survived, then it would have been a victory for them and a first set victory as well. But as far as the stats line, it's really, really even between these two. I'm already getting flashbacks to the very first match of the day, Kenny.
I have no qualms with that either. It's actually exactly even in the kill category too. So sometimes that Blue Star being a big difference maker. And I know it's not a stat, but again, Levi's footwork at the end of game number 3, they're so clutch, dodging the RT shots, dodging the Nani shots. It's not a number stat, but I'm impressed. Levi was somebody that I thought was so good throughout all that. I know it doesn't necessarily show it on the DPS, and the kills are very even alongside his teammates, but he certainly carried his weight there as the Gray. Very impressed. And again, it's somebody I've had my eye on since the preseason, who's jumped into this roster, been a very key piece of it.
Like a glove is, I believe, the terminology. It's at least what we say in the industry, but we'll see if they can make a good fit here on Double Swoosh. For some gem grab action. Love watching Double Switch in this region because it seems like they get quite inventive with what exactly they're going to play here. One thing I will never forget is last year, Zeta Division 1 winning with a Crow mid on this map. And I wonder if we'll see it once again. There's Sandy as well. Probably we've seen debut a handful of times in different maps. Will it be Double Switch? Well, no, because they've rejected him. They've banned him out on the left side. The first pick belongs to Chasmac Gaming EA.
Yeah, they didn't just say it once, they said it with an exclamation. Double bans coming through. Both sides not willing to deal with this. Poco, Janet, Penny Stew, all very normal. But again, in other regions of the world, unless something's changed there too, it's not something I particularly noticed outside of APAC. You know, a lot of it stems from EA, but obviously other regions too. We even saw it a little bit earlier in those ban stages or play stages. So Sandy, clearly somebody that this region values. And, you know, a lot of times they're going to be looking to these more historic regions like East Asia, some of these teams that have been around for a while. There's that Crow that you noted as well. It worked in the mid last year. It can work on the side lane so well too for getting it visibility for your teammates. Very safe first choice. I think it can be really solid in a lot of combinations.
Yeah, I mean, what? The mid lane, either side lane, it's quite nice. Here's the Gene, though. I think this is going to be the superior mid for this map, and usually you don't want to select as your very first thing because it's quite straightforward to counter, and this is what Chasmac Gaming EA needs to keep in the back of their head. This is when we start to see selections like Bow or Penny or things like that. Anything that has a spawnable that could be placed in front of it. Reject also with the Otis selection, definitely like this. Keep in mind also, Gene most notably counters out Carl very effectively, so this could afford them a pretty impactful Carl pick if they want that for their final one.
Yeah, I think a lot of options here too. Somebody that's also risen through the ranks is Rosa, of course. It's one of the older historical tanks on this map as well that can do really well. Of course, having the gadget in play can add the extra bushes if you elect to go that route. I think it's really interesting just to see all these regions kind of bring their own little style to it. Im's going to be somebody that shows up in this region particularly higher than others as well, but a good old-fashioned Max makes me happy. I think this is somebody that's going to be able to utilize this brawler really well and a great mid-choice for them.
That plus you've picked Crow already. You've gotten rid of one of the major counters to this brawler. I think it's a very solid selection for them, and they'll be able to accent it with basically anything and have it work quite effectively. But they need to keep in mind, oh, okay, yeah, well, I mean, I guess I did say anything. I'm prepared to stand by that. Chester is a bit out of the usual, and yeah, I think that's about all I got to say. It has me a little speechless.
I don't have much either for what it's worth. This is not somebody that I saw in practice, so I'm a little caught off guard as well. Chester is somebody that I feel like we haven't seen much of since his heavy nerfs earlier. Of course, he was really, really strong, and then they hit him with that as well to make him a little more balanced, which I think was a wise decision. But we'll see what he's got in the tank here. I think he's a fun brawler. I love seeing him with the Joker's got, but I don't know how easy it's going to be. You know, he is going to deal some sneaky amounts of damage when he's up close, but against a Spike, against an Otis that can hit you with the mute button, I'm not sure what he'll do here. I'm just not sure. So I'm really curious to see what happens here. And for Chasmac Gaming EA, very excited to see what they can do with this.
Let's see how it works. I think one other thing that Spike will be able to do, which is very important, is since you have vision gear, it's not something that we can see as spectators, right? Because, well, we're able to see everyone on the map. But if you put yourself in Levi's shoes, he's able to suss out some enemies using the wide spread of these attacks and how difficult it can be to dodge, especially when it comes down to curveball. See on the left side, though, he's getting pressured quite a lot. On the right side, Choppy manages to win this lane in a way. He hasn't gotten the takedown just yet, but he has the positioning that he needs so much. Kenji tries to flank from the left side. Levi wins the lane versus Melty. Chasmac Gaming EA, they lose Kuru on the back lines as well, and Kenji just barely stays alive. In fact, they've lost their entire bush, too. Reject really walking over these guys.
Yeah, this is good stuff coming in from them. Very similar to what we saw last month, but Kenji giving a little extra juice here. The energy drink being popped, and now it's Kuru once again going to go down here. Levi with the pickup. 3 gems in Mimi's hands, and now Levi able to step forward as a result. Tag team there, and a big pull coming through onto Melty. Kenji low HP and going to go down here too. A fresh delivery of 8 gems for Menmi, and Levi picks up the rest. Countdown begins.
Melty gets taken down, and a silence to the face of Choppy. He's just out for blood. 1-2 kills on the entire opposing side. Some spins from Levi and Minmi too. I mean, they're safe and sound back here. What a show for Reject. They completely shut down the enemy side. Speechless. That's all I got to say. I am out of words because of how dominant that was.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, not to be overly critical of the Chester. I just didn't see much from it there, and I think we're going to have to find either some different positioning or find some more creative ways to utilize it, because it's just not going to be easy, I think, to get up close here against somebody like Levi on Spike or Otis, who, again, has so much utility, has the fat splatter, has the mute button, as I like to call it. You know, he's got a silent still. What are you going to do about that? And Kuru at least closing the distance here, but, again, already low HP. Menmi can heal up allies as well very quickly. Gonna have to rely on some big dodges. There's one, but gonna go down to the Levi shot there. An emergency life plant. Not going to get us value of that, but Kenji being rushed away as a result.
Chasmac Gaming EA, they do have a serious amount of gems on their side, but it might be the last gem they pick up. Kenji could disrupt that. Here's number 4, Reject, to have one spawning on their side, but they're going to have to fight for it as Melty and Kenji shift up their positioning and where to pinch things. Choppy on the right side, landing up some good shots, but Kenji dodging out a lot of them. Here's the speed. Melty now pinching around from the bottom side. Combine the speed with slowing the opponents, and you might as well double the amount of speed you have. Chasmac have now ballooned their gem count to 9 on their side. Kenji with a final one as they look to move things back, but not too quickly. Kenji, though, does have to make some evasive maneuvers as he's so close to death.
Wow, and what a perfect super to get there for Kuru. Rolls the dice a little bit and gets the Lu-esque super to cut off that entire right-hand side. But Kenji can't go unspoken. That phase shift was pivotal for them to get away with that. Had really low HP. Otis within striking distance and just slides out of the way. Nicely done, and CMG really showing what they've got here too. Much better stuff coming out from Chester too. I want to see more of those crazy dice roll. What's the Mad Hatter going to pull out next? You never know. He can pull out the stun. He can pull out the slowing, ice skating rink right there. Got to have Chester get some supers and keep them on their toes.
I mean, he needs to pull out a few more stuns here because a little bit of luck would not hurt. Chasmac Gaming EA, they might have taken the last one, but they did make just a couple of really big plays that ended up taking it for them, especially the speed. Once it gets onto Melty and they're able to slow things down and speed themselves up in tandem, there's a recipe for success. But Reject, they're already shifting up the lanes too. Choppy taking the left side versus Kuru. We see Kenji also using the phase shifter to get out of the way. Unlike the last game, they don't find themselves in the early game lead. Reject have still tied them so far. Mimi has a super to pull Kenji, but he has to catch him off guard or freshly out of a phase shifter.
Kuro doing an excellent job in game number 3 here too. Going to be picking up this left-hand side, and I kind of see why Chester can be so valuable. You know, when you get to those 2, 3, 4 prong shots, he just covers the entire left-hand side. He's invisible, so if he's hitting dodges, really good stuff too. I see the vision here. I see why Kuro chose this brawler, and I can kind of get behind it a little bit. Missed pool there as well. Gonna be a tough one, and Kenji picks up a 7th. Still back and forth, but now a real opportunity for CMG to try and pick up a set.
Killed by Minmi on the left side. Kenji's going to try and rush things. Melty needs to get a tag so he can slow things down, but Minmi stays just out of range and gets some good hits along the way. He's got to be so close to that super. Kenji and Melty are extremely aware. Chop is going to push things back, weaken things up. Melty tries to go for that gem. He's not able to get it, but he is able to slow things down. Kenji has the super, but they're not high enough on health to make it work just yet. Through on the left side also has blown up a lot of these bushes. He could be the one receiving the speed, maybe. Take down onto Melty. It's not really the best time for a big push in, especially when Minmi has that super. Kenji only has one phase shifter left.
It's going to be really difficult for Chasmac Gaming. A good start here, though, is dropping the energy coming in from max super speed going down, but now a pull going through, a bounce off, and Kuro falls. Kenji, 8 gems in hand, and now an 11th being picked up. Very crucial, because now they can't get this from the mid. Kenji's going to need a kill, but a Choppy cleans up a couple good ones as well, and Chasmac Gaming so close, but Reject once again taking a set, and CMG have yet to take one off their opponent.
Admire the effort, admire the selections of the brawlers, but sometimes the creativity, it can put you in the lead. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And Chester seems to be one of those that kind of gets carried off to the graveyard. Unfortunate. But still, I think we're seeing signs of life on their side. We've seen one game for each set from Chasmac Gaming, and I anticipate to see just as much, if not more, as we head into Out in the Open. It's a big change of pace for them.
For sure, very different game mode from what we just saw in Gym Grab. And again, this is a very punishing game mode. Sometimes you can play the better game, but if you make one boneheaded decision, it can really go a long way. And especially when we've got such a game-changing super, we see that massive pull coming in from Minmi there, just to put the icing on the cake to get that win. If you're hitting the gene pulls, if you're doing a good job, I will say too, Reject obviously have the more conventional comp. I think it's something we're more used to seeing, but we did see the Chester start to shine in games number 2 and 3. So I'm definitely gonna be looking out for that in the future. Obviously a very fun brawler to see go down too. So I think that pick didn't cost them a loss by any means. I think, you know, Reject just kind of played a better set.
Well, you want to talk about playing a better set? I mean, really look at a Choppy here. He's got 9 kills under his belt, and that's supremely important when, well, killing someone gets you quite a lot of control. You win that lane without anyone having to back up or anything. Beautifully played by Reject and well responded by Chasmac Gaming EA. They have not managed to pick up a set just yet. It's got to be the next one. Otherwise, they're getting taken down, and Reject will advance on to the grand finals. It's time to move. It's time to maybe not take as many risks in the draft, because as you pointed out, we did see some good stuff from Chester in those last couple of games, but there's not time for warm-ups when we get into the final set.
Yeah, I think it's in a spot where this is a really big confidence boost or decrease here for Chasmac Gaming. It's the same matchup 2 months in a row, and if you lose it 3-0 twice, I don't know. That's got to hurt for sure. It's going to really force them to kind of bounce back here, put them at a deficit, especially now that Aphelion have gained some much needed points making it to a grand finals. Even if they don't win, they could take the lead here against them. So that out of those 4 teams, these are really the ones we're looking at. It's a very important one too, as Reject's in the same boat. Now that Crazy Raccoon go down a round earlier than we're kind of used to seeing, anything can happen here for this region. So you want to be consistent as much as possible. And if Reject can get another 3-0 win, that's got to feel good for them.
Well, Reject start things off with a pick of RT. Let's note some of the brawlers that have been banned out as well. We have the Bonnie, the Max, and the Tick selected as rejected. On Reject's side, Chasmac Gaming EA, they got rid of the Gene, the Brock, and the Bonnie. No wall break here for that Brock, but there are other ways to get the job done here on Out in the Open. Still, though, it's not as strong as it used to be, considering the presence of a few indestructible walls. Mandy is going to be locking things down at long range. This can be a bit of an iffy pick, because if brawlers decide that they're not going to play your lane, there's not a whole lot you can do. It can also be quite tough to hit enemies since you're not able to strafe with them. We'll see Eve also selected by Chasmac Gaming EA. I think this is a phenomenal pick. We'll see how Reject respond to it.
Yeah, Chasmac Gaming EA going with a couple sneakier brawlers, I will say. I think compared to the general public, Eve, Mandy, maybe not the most intuitive here, especially with the new hotness of RT coming out. They're going to be testing that out, but Mandy's super lethal. If you can get a couple tags in there, every time you tag a brawler, it's a half percentage up, and obviously deals a ton of damage. Eve, a unique feature for her, of course, too, is that she can float over that brawler, or over that water. I was just so caught off guard by the Leon. I'm glad we get to see him. It's something we saw a lot in scrims for Knockout and for Bounty, for me at least, when I was digging into some of these teams and what they're rolling with. Again, this is really the only region I see do that, so really excited to kind of see what they bring to the table here, and I think it's really going to make you question if you want to go thrower if you're the Chasmac Gaming side.
True. Very good point there. Reject, they have one more selection they can go with, and maybe this is where they decide to pick a brawler that's typically weak to throwers. Here comes Gus, and I can definitely see that being a brawler that finds some issues with throwers, but I don't think that was really the idea there. Levi on the Leon is just going to try and get it done. Chasmac Gaming EA have one more selection they can go with. It's tough to tell which direction is the ideal one to go with here, but anything that's able to detect Leon is probably going to be a fairly good asset. It could be Otis quickly taking down the lollipop drop with the use of his gadget, Fat Splatter. It could be something like Spike sussing out positions. Janet is actually going to be the selection here. I like this. You get drop the base, you get a large amount of area control, and you'll be able to detect where exactly an invisible Leon is headed.
Yeah, I think last time we saw Chasmac Gaming being the ones kind of taking chances, if you will, at some more untraditional picks, but this time it's actually going to be Reject going with Leon again. I've seen him here and there and some scrims going on between all of these teams, especially those top four I'm really paying attention to for trends of what the region's doing, and for whatever reason, they've started to hover back to him. And somebody that used to play this region, this brawler used to play in this region for a long time, and we just haven't seen a lot of Leon. I think when, you know, you get the visibility gear in the game especially is where we really saw that start to trickle down, but of course, you can get some value out of the lollipop drop. You can kind of put him behind these indestructible walls, and he's a very aggressive brawler, so he's going to do good into somebody like Mandy up close, and even Janet, if she doesn't have a getaway option, he can get a kill very quickly.
Well, Chasmac Gaming EA, they're already posting up with Kenji on the left side. He'll be getting some good pot shots in here. It's going to be tough also for him to detect where exactly those enemies are, since he's able to hit them while they are completely off his screen. Trying to get a choppy and clip around this barrel. Still not connect with too many shots just yet. Will end up getting Levi a little bit, but if he's able to keep up these shots, he'll fire up that super very, very soon. Chasmac Gaming EA kind of descend upon Reject's backlines, Melty especially around the left side. It's a good outlook for Chasmac Gaming EA.
Yeah, they've got great positioning here, and Menmi has a shield available. There's the tag, and Choppy barely able to hold on. Lollipop drop going down to Levi, trying to give his team any advantage possible. Some good chip damage as Menmi's looking for a one-on-one here. A good shot from a Choppy, a takedown from Menmi. 3v2 situation as Kenji is gonna fall to the zone. Melty, the last one standing, goes down to one little Leon shot. 1-0 Reject, despite the bad positioning, do end up getting this one.
Good stuff so far. Could very well change. Levi now sneaking around that left side. Melty none the wiser. Here it comes. Oh, as soon as he saw him, immediately popped that super to escape, and he will escape with his life. He could be going into yet another world of pain. Could be a pinch between Menmi and Levi. Here comes the Elim. Levi gets the takedown. Chasmac Gaming EA are at a 2-3 deficit. One brawler missing. Kenji's going to get that jump pad to move over to the right side. It's East versus West, but CMG got their backs against the walls.
Yeah, now just a lone Kuru in action, dropping that super. Not a lot it's going to be able to do for him, though, especially with the pickup here from Menmi onto that super, too. And now Choppy feeling confident enough to drop his super, the final tag they needed, and now Reject one game away from going into back-to-back grand finals.
Massive stuff, and the momentum is on their side. There's almost nothing that can stop them, it seems, unless we see a complete turnaround in mentality from the opposing team. Of course, you only got a few seconds to do that, to sit back and rethink things and get some team comms up before heading into what could be the very last game of this entire match. Reject are at match point. Chasmac Gaming EA did get a good start off that last match, but Kenji already taken down is not a good sign.
Oh no, everything falling apart here for Chasmac Gaming EA. It's looking dangerously similar to what we saw last month where we had a 3-0 as well. It's just a lone Kuru up top. And I'm curious too, we talk about the Leon a little bit, we talk about the Gus. I didn't noticeably pay attention to this, but I wonder how often Gus and Leon are paired together as they get that very easy kill there in the 3-on-1 situation, because I kind of like the synergy they have. We saw it a little bit earlier, but the Gus bubble going with an assassin brawler, Leon doesn't have to be as scared. He can just get aggressive and let Gus take care of him.
Pretty much. I mean, this is an interesting strategy. And so far, Reject are kind of rocking it, but Chasmac Gaming EA still have yet to find out exactly how to play into it. Levi surprises things on the left side. Melty taken down by that one shot from Levi. Down goes Kenji, and Kuru's the lifeline for this team. Everyone descends upon him. He even tries to escape, but it's not even possible. Reject, they've taken their second advancement to the grand finals this month in a row. They will have a supreme opponent awaiting them across the way, Aphelion Esports.
Wow. It's been such a fun month here already. I think we're already with two very worthy semi-finalists, and I think arguably some of the best performances we've seen from both of these teams. And no matter how you spin it, we're getting a new monthly finals champion, which excites me a lot. It means that the cream of the crop is rising in this region. It's one of the most competitive years we've had so far, and I think both of these teams really delivering on that. Look, I think Chasmac Gaming EA have better days ahead for them. I really believe in these players, but 2 back-to-back months, 3-0s by Reject. That's just really tough for me. I think they need to get a fresh start. They got to come back into it next month with putting it behind them. And that's really difficult to do for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, morale-wise, it's definitely difficult. I think that they're absolutely built for this task, though. I mean, we're looking at phenomenal players who have been to the world's stage repeatedly that can't seem to make it past the semifinal stage within their home region. And that's the first step to getting back to the world stage. Take a look at the scoreboard. This is looking phenomenal for Rejects. For Chasmac Gaming EA, basically silence on that front. I agree with you. I think there are better days ahead for this roster, but unfortunately, this month is just not there for them.
Yeah, 12-1 in kills is a tough way to spin it, but it's Choppy going to be getting the MVP here. I think a wise decision. All three of these guys, though, really shine throughout these sets.
Absolutely, but Choppy, I mean, he's like the big player on this roster. Minmi and Levi, big names in the region. But Choppy, I mean, we've seen this dude on a couple of World Finals rosters in a row, and I think it's wonderfully deserved too. We saw it numerous times in the stats. Minmi, Levi, getting some good stuff in here. 4 kills apiece, and Choppy shining through with a 9 under his belt. Phenomenal player and a great roster as well. We've had some amazing matches so far, but it's all leading up to this final match, F. I'm pumped, man.
That's what we're here for. I mean, this is always exciting. One of the things that we can generally rely on in Brawl Stars Esports is Shatampo's team kind of winning. And so it is very exciting to me to kind of see this type of upset. And I mean, like, these are names, you guys mentioned it during the broadcast earlier, these are names that we've all seen around this like incredibly competitive region's orbit. Names like a Choppy, who's not even making it here to the grand finals and stuff. And so expected, like, this is where you expect the unexpected, Kenny, right?
I mean, all logic is out the window, and making picks here, we're kind of have to go off the eye test because we haven't seen this matchup yet. It's a very numbers-driven, very analytical-brained person. My mind's a little blown here. On paper, Crazy Raccoon look unstoppable, but 3-1. Aphelion Esports do the unthinkable. Don't take them down to grand finals. They do it even earlier, a semi-finals. I'm just really impressed. I think Reject are going to be a very good opponent for them, of course, as well. So a lot of fun, a lot of newness. This seems to be one for the books.
For real. I mean, Aphelion came in here, obviously the 3-1 competition between Crazy Raccoon was pretty tough. And then we just watched kind of the opposite, but a very different level of competition, I think, there, Ready.
Absolutely. I mean, And I'm not even really sure how to paint the picture here. Every single team coming into this is phenomenal, but the development that we've seen from 1 month to the next, last month compared to this month, has been remarkable, especially in that very first match. So I'm excited to see what exactly Aphelion is going to offer in this match. Are they going to completely flip what we predicted for this region on its head? Because I will say now that as soon as that roster got signed to Crazy Raccoon, I said, everyone, meet your Brawl Stars World Champions for 2023. And it seems like we have a new team on the block who looks to upset that.
Milk Rayo, Dempsey, and Suzuku coming on through here. And, you know, Milk has been a guy in this region that people have had their eyes on for sure. But when I think of sort of like the top six players, the top group of players, I look at this Aphelion roster as just one step behind those top guys. And this might be that period of time, not necessarily tonight or tomorrow, but the next couple of months might be the moment where we actually see this Aphelion roster kind of jump up to that next tier, so to speak, Kenny, as I kind of envision it.
Absolutely. I mean, they're showing what they've got in them. And I will say, too, you know, part of the reason I pick Aphelion based on the eye test is I think that's the most impressive win we've seen in this region so far. I think, you know, as well as Crazy Raccoon played, they were still able to come away with a 3-1 victory with really solid drafts. These guys are no slouches. I think when I look at all of this, they have the best win on the year. And I don't know, I would not be surprised in the slightest if Reject won this, but I'm just going to go with my gut here, kind of go with that feeling with Aphelion. And I think, honestly, we could see impressive stuff again. I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's going to be awesome.
Across the way, we've got Menmi and the boys, and this is another squad where, again, we know these players for sure. We've seen them, but they haven't necessarily been those number 1 or number 2 guys. And so I think, again, it's less about how these guys are slouches. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm more commenting on the overall level of competition in the region, Kenny. You know, watching everybody sort of steadily improve and then see those top teams they haven't slouched at all. It's more teams are now on that top tier.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been really impressed with Reject. This is the team that I kind of came in as my preseason number 2, if you will. You know, now that we have a month under our belts and we're in our second here, I think that they're really starting to show that they're a little more consistent. They played CMG twice. You know, we've had some similar brackets. Obviously, the other side, little upset coming through, but Reject have that potential too. I believe in a Choppy. I believe in this team. I think they can get it done most of the time, but I don't know if anybody's stopping Aphelion the way they played in that semifinal. So ultimately, that's what I'm going to ride with.
I mean, that is the fun question to ask for sure. We all went with the Aphelion prediction there, ready, set. But what do you think the real differential between these two teams are? 50-50, or is it lopsided in one direction?
I want to rate it like 60-40 maybe. I think by proxy, we can understand it, just how strong of a team Aphelion is, but we got to pay some respect to Reject, right? They've gone toe-to-toe already in the last month with Crazy Raccoon, and I think with Crazy Raccoon out of the picture since they've been taken down in the semifinals, we're able to more clearly sort of see how the competition stacks up in this region, because for me, I won't lie, I had tunnel vision. It was all about Crazy Raccoon headed into this year. Now that they've been taken down, I can see this region as a whole, right? See the forest for the trees.
Getting our fly over here. As we set the table for Gem Grab, it'll be Hard Rock Mine that we're hanging out at. And we've got 31% of the fans on the side of Aphelion, so I believe that leaves 69% for the other side. Right now, we are drafting. We're saying goodbye to Kenny. Kenny will join us a little bit later on as we reflect on it. And you know, it's funny. Man, casters say this all the time, but I'm sorry, they're lying. Right now, I'm not. I really don't know who's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, look, do we ever really know with 100% certainty? I will say,
yes.
One time I knew something with 100% certainty. Okay, whatever. Okay, but well, let's acknowledge that sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and I think here we do know that we don't know. Perhaps I think is what we're trying to get at here.
You're starting to sound like me, ready.
Reject. I rate quite even.
Draft on the way here. Stu first pick, love it all the time. It is a confidence pick for sure, you know. How good are you at Stu? But more importantly, it doesn't tip your hand. Kind of put anything with the little Stu guy. And so we'll see where Reject wants to go with their draft. Milkrayo and Suzuku going the Max and the Birdman. So Gus, long range damage coming out for Reject here. And I like this. I echo what Kenny was saying about Gus earlier on. He pairs well with assassins and characters like that just because of the nature of the shield. And Stu is incredibly difficult to hit anyway, so giving him a shield on top is like extra icing. I wonder if Gus, it might be paired with more. I wonder if Gus might pair better with this last selection. It's a spike, so not necessarily here, there, or anywhere, but a well-rounded composition from the red side.
Totally, and usually Spike is just a pretty safe brawler to go. I would say usually that Spike raises a few flags for me, right? Might set off an alarm because it's such a safe brawler that you're not really saying a whole lot. You're not going for anything really specific, but keep in mind, this is East Asia, and players usually like to stick with some familiar brawlers and get the mechanics stiff later. Okay, yep, it's time for Aphelion Esports to do Aphelion Esports things. We've only really just gotten familiar with their new strategies this month, and already they're surprising us with some pretty out there picks. Mr. P is completely one of them, but I understand because you counter Gus and you counter Stu once you have that turret up. Problem is, you got to get it first.
Sure. I think Mr. P, in a world of indestructible walls, sure, everybody that throws stuff, their stock went up. Hard Rock Mine, not necessarily the map that I'm, you know, leaning on a lot. Obviously, we have some of those indestructibles, but we'll see how it all works out. That Mr. P that we were talking about, piloted by Dempsey, going to be on that left lane. Levi taking a whole lot of damage. Actually might get taken down here. It is Aphelion, their mid laner Milkrayo on the Max, that's able to start things off pretty quickly here. 5-0 at 3 minutes.
It might get that much more difficult for Reject to push in once Dempsey gets his super, but Levi's determined to deny it for a long period of time. Here it comes, Milkrayo trying to get another gem. He played really risky. Levi's determined to punish him as much as he can, but he finds himself high and dry on the backline. Suzuku gets taken down though. Milkrayo might be able to do something on the right side. He circles over to the left side, could get a kill versus a Choppy. Another phase shift to the backside, gets taken down by the curve shot from the curveball. Suzuku could get the jump out, but he doesn't really need to. He has that poison onto Levi. Could tag up a Choppy too. Almost able to get the elimination onto Levi. More importantly, forces him back, and Milkrayo can pick up yet another gem. Also, the use of the gadget by a Choppy. Still not a takedown. Aphelion Esports in a great position.
Dempsey now swapping over to the right side, but they're really just pincering us. The entire team of Reject now stuck on this left mid. Suzuki's able to take down one. So 3-on-2 at the moment. That said, Reject in the middle here. Levi dashes forward right into the damage from Dempsey, but is able to fire it right on back. And Aphelion, one away from the countdown, but they don't have control of mid. Here comes Reject, full steam ahead. 9 in the pocket, 10 to go. Count the countdown.
Could see some moves on the back lines, though. Dempsey's ready to move, and it's drive time for Milkrayo on the right side with the super forward. Suzuku especially landing down with the splashdown. Special delivery of gems on the opposing side as the Choppy remains alive. And Menmi also on the left side, maintaining position. Levi maintaining this defense. Dempsey will fall to the fire, and Reject stay alive. Aphelion Esports nowhere to be seen when it comes to defending a Choppy. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Though I gotta say, I was really believing in the Mr. P there in the early game, and I think that this one was so even, they could get the next game.
I mean, for sure. I definitely think that this one was very even. We saw basically teams, there were basically like 3 turns in this game. The first turn was Aphelion getting 5, then we saw Reject kind of take over, and then Aphelion tried to come back but weren't able to. Reject played really good defense, lining things up for a Choppy and just letting him carry the games real hard. Dempsey wound up lane switching last time around. Wonder if we're going to see that because he does start in the left against the Stu again. Nice.
See if they're able to do just
Dempsey
that.
with the first blood. Starting things off ready.
Yeah, and I expected they might be able to follow up on that, but so far, Aphelion Esports are keeping their position. Dempsey on the left side, especially maintaining position. Levi, though, charges right forward, getting up close and personal and destroying some walls while he's at it. Milkray on the right side, not in a great position. He's going to keep on backing up. Levi's determined to chase him down. Here it comes, and the shield onto Levi, too. He's going to finish the job. Here he comes around the backside. Suzuku has to defend somehow, but he's forced over to the left side. Does sense blood in the water as Dempsey's able to pick up some of these gems. He moves over to the right, but Levi, he's on the Grand Tour, Grand Prix too, and he brings home the bacon. 10 gems over his head, but countdown still active. Aphelion Esports can still interrupt.
A couple of seconds to go here, and that kill is gonna seal it. Levi plays defense for himself, and Reject are able to take set number 1. And that is certainly gonna put a smile on their face. Great work there. The Mr. P, interesting. Didn't work out in the long term. We'll see.
Mr. L for now, right? Because that wasn't
Nice.
too strong of a showing, unfortunately. I mean, look. I will say he was played, I think, as best as you can play a Mr. P, and leave it to Aphelion to do exactly that. They got creative with the picks. It didn't work out for them. I think that if we move away from the Mr. P situation and towards something a little bit more standard, then this is where we get to really see Aphelion Esports shine. I think another thing to note is precisely what Levi is accomplishing here on the Stew. We saw over here in this moment, he made literally a tour around the entire map, got 10 gems, and then he's out of there. And holy ping too, as he's chaining these things together on the Stew. Gotta be a ban for Aphelion Esports moving forward as long as it's viable.
I agree. So I agree very hard with that last statement. As we take a look at the DPS here, I was very eager to see how much damage that Dempsey was doing. Top damage, all right, dude. There it is. But a little surprise, honestly. That said, I'll get off the Mr. P train, I promise. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like that was an oddball pick, but you've got best of 5. Give it a shot. I think at the end of the day, Mr. P, like we're tearing into this pick. I think Stu just won the game. Like Stu is one of those characters you could just, if you play like that, you win the brawl. So we're headed over to Goldarn Gulch. Aphelion Esports down 1. Bans are out. Pretty standard stuff. First pick going to Reject.
Let's see if they get creative with what brawler they select. Nope, not super creative, but still can't sleep on that one. Don't usually anticipate a really far out there brawler for the first selection. Aphelion Esports, they get that privilege as they do have last pick, but they still got number 2 and number 3 to work with as well. Keep in mind we're here on Goldarn Gulch, so things that are able to fire along that diagonal are usually fairly solid options. Here's the Gus, pretty standard selection, pretty standard East Asia selection within the dojo. The Leon as well, and we saw this one already tried by Reject, and we'll get another taste of what exactly he can accomplish. But Reject, they've played the Leon. Now it's time for them to counter the Leon. Do they have any tricks up their sleeve is the question.
Yeah, I mean, the Gus-Leon combo, Kenny mentioned it earlier. I've been kind of, talking about Gus paired with a very aggressive brawler is what makes me happy. That is synergy at its core, Leon is a character balanced around getting up on you, and so he's glass cannon type approach. That's what these assassin archetypes generally are. And Gus gives him a shield. It's simple math, it really is, but those are the type of character interactions that I really, really long for, especially in our knockout mode. But we've got another RT. There's another look here for the camera op. We love to see that.
Yeah, and it's a little interesting because this can be well, an unsuccessful brawler. We've seen it played by Crazy Raccoon. Not too much success because they left a crucial hole in their defense, and I think Aphelion Esports might be able to locate that if they get creative. Nothing really stands out to me. Here's a Squeak selection from them, and we'll kind of try and break down what exactly is this countering. Well, you'll be able to get rid of Janet's drop the base pretty easily. A lot of times Sprout, or not Sprout, but Squeak is played as a reaction to brawlers that throw down turrets, especially ones that are active through walls. So I like this selection from Aphelion. Keep in mind, they're also not super worried about anything dropping on top of them. No one's really jumping onto them. Could see Levi land on someone, but even then, I think Suzuki has the firepower to take him down in that situation. So overall, safe selections from Aphelion Esports. The only unsafe thing could be Dempsey on that Leon, and that really just comes down to execution. So we'll see how he's able to operate it with it in his hands. Of course, it is on the back right side. Suzuki, one of the most mechanical players on this roster. He stole our hearts and all of our votes for MVP in the last match where we saw him play. So let's wait patiently and see what he's able to do this time.
Round one. Off to a slow start here. Leon started on the bottom side, shifted over to the top. Now coming back down south, rather. Not a lot of damage being dished out by either squad. I think Squeak is really preventing some of that crossover in the mid that we see occasionally. But also you don't want to walk up on a Leon either. So Reject kind of have to be the ones to initiate, I think. But getting to that point is going to be tough.
No doubt, because they don't really have brawlers that are able to play super aggressively. We do see Minmi throw down that turret. It gets almost immediately shut down too. Suzuki could make some stuff happen around the left side. We see another drop the base thrown down. Minmi taken down, but the gadget of Dimsy and Choppy on the left side tries to stay alive, but it's not quite enough. He's versus 1, 2, 3 brawlers. And a round victory up on the scoreboard for Aphelion Esports as they start things off with a success. Reject might have some supers in their hands. 1, 2 brawlers on the screen. 1, 3, and not a single super in hand. Great outlook for Aphelion.
Last round was a little bit rough because Aphelion didn't even do the Leon thing. They just killed from afar, which, cool, good for you. Leon losing this fight on the right-hand side. But so Aphelion have another gear that they can kind of toss out there. Reject, again, like, kind of having trouble opening the door, finding an invite to the party. If everything is left up to Aphelion, Leon's going to jump on you, and then you kind of get ruined. So Reject have to be the first one to strike. I'll say it again.
Aphelion Esports still maintaining their ground. Here comes the lollipop drop down the left side. Suzuki seeking an opportunity. Minmi now circling overhead, trying to take things down. Suzuki taking a lot of damage. Dimsy alive on the right side. We're going to see this gadget expire, rather the super expire. Copy away from his station, could get something accomplished. Suzuki, the one man standing, is too far away. Reject managed to strike back.
Yeah, I think that's a ton of damage. I think it's like 1,500 for the PBAOE out of RT. And so wasn't able to get the teleport back, but it's all good. Gets 1 kill. And then his teammates are able to kind of find themselves on the good side. And so round number 3 here, the rubber round. And couldn't tell you who has the momentum. Both rounds were a little staccato, let's say.
And just off and on action repeatedly. But it's time for some persistent charge forward. Reject certainly sensing the opportunity to move in now. Here it comes. Levi, big damage and some wall break as well. Dimsy has his shield active and can get some additional damage. 1, 2 shots connect, but it's not quite enough. Suzuki also didn't get too much use out of that super. Milkrio, though, towards the top side has afforded them a bit of room. Minmi now towards the back lines, not able to drop any bombs on the enemies. Has to return back to the dock at the top side. Big damage as well from Dimsy. It's just one more shot taken down by the shot from Milkrio. A 2v3, and Reject might be able to finish it off. Levi left alone in the poison and supreme destruction on the bottom left to finish it off.
You know, it looked like there might have been a moment where Red would have been able to kind of come back down. You saw everybody kind of pushing Aphelion into that south side of the map, but took their foot off the gas a little bit, and Reject unable to convert. And so it's Aphelion first on the scoreboard here. Reject, of course, won set number 1. So Aphelion looking here for set number 2 to bring us to that tie 1-1 big picture. Gonna take a little while to get there. Everybody at Reject relatively low, and it's Suzuku from a distance doing the dirty work.
Ooh, and he might be able to get this kill on Minmi. Tries to close in. Use of the gadget. Stays alive. Choppy, surprisingly, also staying alive, moving over to the left side. And that moves. Suzuku can still close in from the top side, but Choppy and Levi are just permanently on the run as they start to spread out, and Levi takes that bottom lane. Suzuku's determined to lane against him, and it's quite tough to do this versus a Brock since he does have such a large explosion radius and can expand that a little bit, break down some walls too if he makes use of his gadget. Choppy, oh my gosh, was that almost the entire super from Milkrio to take him down? What a connection! And Aphelion Esports have this one in the bag.
Maybe gonna go ahead and just provide a little bit of supercharge there. Milkray actually gets their super, just like that. So Reject looking to defend here. They shove all members of the team on the right side. But Menmi going looking for Suzuku, who has snuck away to the left.
He get a little sneakier too. He has a gadget and he has a super at his disposal. So he doesn't want to get tagged up. Here comes Levi with the vertical super, probably breaking open some walls. Wonder if it was intentional to leave any open area regardless. They do have a lot of room for themselves. Choppy also has a super that he can use at any moment, but he's going to be quite conservative about it too. On the right side, Milkrio, big connection. And denial from Minmi too, as he blocks it with his final gadget. So it affords some time for Aphelion Esports to start moving around the right side, try and close things in. Everyone on Reject is very close together. Suzuku has lost that super now. Aphelion Esports might be able to pinch Minmi on the left side, take down Suzuku, falls. Minmi circles overhead. This could be the last moments.
Menmi took to the skies at precisely the right time, but stuck between a rock and a hard place. Going to go underground, and a Choppy will fall as well. And so Aphelion here tie us up 1-1 here in the East Asia Grand Finals. Aphelion fight back.
Precisely what we predicted too, was Aphelion being able to take a win here, and I think we were quite surprised by just exactly what Reject were able to bring out in terms of firepower in the very first set. Now it's 2-0 and 2-0 on the scoreboard, but it's been quite dominant within the sets themselves. I wonder just how much the draft difference is affecting the outcome of these sets.
The RT didn't really seem to do that much for Reject, but honestly, it didn't seem to offend me either. I think in the first set, the draft was a little bit more impactful. Here, I just think that Reject weren't able to kind of execute. Aphelion's draft a little bit more well-rounded, perhaps, but I think this game was, for my opinion here, I think this game was lost on the battlefield rather than on the draft phase.
Well, I would certainly say that the scoreline supports what you're saying, because I don't really see a whole lot of action from a Choppy and Levi. 0 kills apiece. Minmi with a few on his side too, but so far it's looking like an Aphelion Esports set. That's momentum at their side, wind at their backs, and a good mindset headed into set number 3.
Should be fun, as Gold Arm Colch and Hard Rock Mine are behind us. Sneaky Fields and Dueling Beetles are ahead of us. And Canal Grand, maybe. For now, it's Brawl Ball. It's Sneaky Fields. A lot of discussion about Sandy coming back into the zeitgeist recently, especially over here in this region, and going to be banned out, so no yawning allowed. Reject first pick, and it's Otis.
Be careful when you say no yawning allowed, because you might encourage Reject to ban out Sandy, as they just have. Wonder if we'll see him appear any later, but for now, it's precisely what you noted. Otis from Reject is their very first selection. Good way to deal with tanks. You're able to silence things up, and just a good all-around brawler. You can't really go wrong with an Otis as a first pick, but now Aphelion Esports gets their chance to respond. probably going to see a few more tank counters out here because keep in mind, Aphelion had that last pick. There's Anita, very strong tank counter. Will lose a lot of value if we see any walls break down, and keep in mind, Sneaky Fields also doesn't have any indestructible walls, so it's very much a possibility. Could be one more for them. Keep in mind, once again, they want to get these tank counters selected so that A, they don't have to face into tanks on the side of Reject, and B, to eliminate them. That way, they have a higher possibility of successfully running a tank as their last selection.
Oh, that was funny how that worked out. As soon as you said B, meaning your second point, B, the character, was locked in. And you're just such a natural, Reddy. You're very
well, thank
good.
you. I mean, it's only our job.
I was just gonna sit there and see how long.
See how long I just let the mic sit on the table with no one say anything. I mean, I think that's also Spike's job too. It's all coming to fruition. Saying nothing, have no voice lines if you're Spike here. It's all just working out, everything in parallel here. But regardless, one last pick for Reject. What do they go with?
Big damage. I think here you want to go big damage. There are tank counters across the way, so it's going to scare you away from picking Ashe or something. And so Squeak, not usually the guy that I think of when I come to big damage, but I think this is a better look here because you have sort of like control. You have area denial by way of Spike, and Squeak is Mr. Area Denial. And so I like this combination. Rather than just like show up and bust through the doors, you're gonna kind of like isolate, shepherd the enemy team into the area where they don't want to go, and then unleash all your nonsense where they're at. I think that's gonna be a good look for Reject and something a little bit different than just like kick open the door.
For sure. I mean, in another way that we see Squeak played a lot of times on this map is to immediately throw that gadget at the mid lane for the opponent, which sort of shuts down what B usually does here. Now, I have said that in the past in this region, and then Squeak was played entirely differently. Squeak was just played as a normal lane, no action towards the mid lane, so we'll see if it comes true this time. Simply my observations based off of NA. That's exactly how it's played. Here could come a gadget. So far, pretty much played as a normal lane. Yep.
Roger that. Here is what Squeak is going to be able to do, though. Stu is kind of just locked in this corner until Squeak misses a shot, but that's okay. Ball still largely in the mid lane as Dempsey losing the matchup versus Spike pretty hard. Menmi combining, so the mid and left lane take down Aphelion's left laner. Doesn't convert to forward movement is the question. Well, I have the answer. No.
I mean, Suzuku's basically been in jail on the right side. He can't do anything.
Stuck.
Squeak, it's just like Squeak's shot size, Squeak's reload speed. It all works out perfectly to deny an area for a super long time unless you're able to have some kind of movement ability. But Suzuku did receive a bit of assistance. Milkria was able to peel a Choppy off of that position for just a moment. But Suzuku's still not really getting a break. He's going to go aggro on a Choppy and nope, not going to get a kill. A Choppy going to get taken down by the fire, but Levi has the sniper on the left side and is saving his gadget, or rather his super, for the next pitch. Reject start things off with a solid goal.
Great job there from Reject to notice what Suzuku was doing. Goes a little bit too hard on the right side trying to find the Squeak player. And so Aphelion just shade up into the mid and then force the fight. They do win the fight, which winds up converting into a goal. If they lose the fight, they don't get scored on. So love that decision to be able to go all in there. Right side in some trouble, but it's a pass to the left side. Beautiful gadget from the Spike, and it's Cactus time, baby. Reject, take game one.
Brilliant stuff for Reject. I mean, very, very well played by the guys. They locked things in for practically the entire game, particularly the Squeak, which while it wasn't played the exact way that I expected, it was still played really, really well. This time, though, looks like some anticipation from Aphelion Esports. They go for the prediction that Achapi is going to be headed towards that right side again, and it holds true. But Dempsey gets shut down even harder on the right side than Suzuki did. At least Suzuki will have a chance to make things work on the left side. He has that super at his disposal, can go for the wall break. He could be setting up for it too. Has to thread the needle around the life plane, brings the balls in the same go. Achapi with the super in. Dempsey slowed down. He is down. And Menmi gets to slot this one in real easy.
Game one, Achapi put Stu in the penalty box for 75% of the game. Stu isn't able to play. Game two, Achapi just comes out and just goes to work, kills players, opens up the door to the right side score, and then just does all of the heavy lifting here in the early stages of this game. Definitely one of the more powerful players on this map at the moment, and might just be the one scoring the winning goal. It's Achapi again. Beautiful squeak prowess and just great Brawl's ball play coming out from Achapi and his team at large.
Seriously brilliant stuff. I'm over here trying not to crack myself up too much because I'm just picturing like hearing it squeak sounds in your nightmares, because that's what you're going to be doing when you're facing into Achapi. I mean, that was absolutely brutal. It didn't matter what they threw at the situation. Nothing was able to deal with the guy. He just consistently either lurched forward slowly over the course of the game, or he trapped you. Those are your two options over here. Particularly, we saw Stu repeatedly taken down. This is not going to be a good night's rest for Suzuki. It's just going to be squeak sounds. Any amount of silence will be interrupted by that thought.
just completely, you know, Achapi came onto the map and was like, "Listen, Stu, you've been bad. Go to your room. You're punished. You're not allowed out." And Suzuki was like, "Please?" And the thing was, Achapi had him locked down until he missed a couple of shots that were a little bit off the mark. And you saw Stu kind of like, "Okay, now's my chance." And he'd sneak out. And then Achapi was like, "Nah, I only missed one, not two." And then Stu had to scuttle right back in that corner again. And it wasn't until there was help from the rest of the team that Suzuki was able to get on out of there. And so, while it does pain me to say this, I think Nita might have been a problem, because I'm not looking at Stu as the issue there. I'm looking at the other two teammates not able to help him enough. Because at the end of the day, you have your lane matchup, but it's a team game. And so when there is a mismatch in the lane, we saw a little bit of lane swap, but teamwork is how you get out of that nightmare for sure. And so, hot zone. We'll see how much teamwork winds up over here. No Stu, no Squeak, and no Poco, no Penny, and no Janet either. And so the B is the first pick. Love this choice. Combination, area denial, and sharpshooter.
I strongly support it too. And I think that there are plenty of ways that you can accent it. It's just one of the best first picks that you can go for on this map in particular. Not a whole lot that can deal with it either. So B.
Oh, B.
Plan B.
I'm trying different accents for B.
I think she's British.
She is. I then realized that, like, saying... I would never do that.
Well, EMEA is
that was my later. British accent,
two British accents on there, and one Dutch accent on there, so you can tune into EMEA in a few hours if you want to get your fair share of that, or just listen to Levi as you throw some...
Oh, are you Teddy? It's me, Trev. Hello, Teddy.
Right. Bands are coming in thick and fast, is my impression of Ark. That's what I think he says.
No, I literally called you Teddy. You're supposed to do the Teddy, like, Byron is picking. Always failing me, ready, set.
I could probably do a Teddy impression once we...
You definitely...
Well, whatever. Whatever.
Byron mid, though. Kind of classic here. Like the choice. Byron is a character that if you were watching last monthly finals, I went off. It wasn't monthly finals, my mistake. But in any event, I recently talked about Byron pick because he was selected in a knockout without anybody to heal. Byron is off meta, but he certainly has his application and his moments. Dueling Beetles with a Gus, whoever this last selection for Aphelion Esports is, will never die. They're gonna have a shield and a Byron heal. Shielded and healing, baby. This is a really cute composition, and I don't even know who the last pick is. I like the combination of these two choices. They'll be going up against B, Bonnie, and Crow.
It's going to be stiff opposition for really anything that Aphelion Esports goes with. Probably their best option is something else that's fairly long range. Here comes the Ruffs from Aphelion. I think this is a pretty solid selection. However, I mean, you're facing into B, dude. Do you really want to break open the walls even more? Keep in mind also they're going to be facing into Bonnie, so anything that can block some of those shots when she comes down is going to be super useful. It's for that reason that I expect Ruffs to be drawing a lot of his strengths from the sandbags. Dimsy, though, I think is going to struggle here, not able to offer too much DPS. So I think it'll come down to how well they're able to deny supers on the side of Reject, because once Minmi and Achoppy are jumping in, it's kind of over for Aphelion.
Yeah, I got to agree. I was so confident because I was like, yo, they got two support-esque characters. Gus and Byron are both support damage dealers, right? And then they go a third support damage dealer in Colonel Ruffs. I don't hate this draft, but I don't love it as much as I thought I would with quite literally any other archetype of a character there. Sandbags go down to protect the dog for the moment, but nice job. Somebody help, though. Milk Rayo doesn't step up and watches his team get eaten. Unfortunate. I think Gus needs to be more active there.
We might find his opportunity now that Choppy's pushing in. Can make a move, has to stay out of range of Minmi. Here comes that gadget. He's got a lot of speed, he's got a lot of damage to work with, but not a whole lot of kills on the left side. Thankfully, Milkrio is pushed back. Levi on the right side also keeping things back. Let's also note that he's running Rattled Hive, which you don't often see, but it's probably because he wouldn't be drawing too much value from that first gadget. Nonetheless, Dimsy, Suzuku might be able to make a move in here. Milkrio especially coming around that left side. Minmi trying to hang on to that super since an opportunity, but it really wasn't an opportunity. A jump in from a Choppy, a kill on a Milkrio, and he manages to live and tell the tale, but Reject still don't have any serious control over this point.
Not really a brawler on Aphelion's side that can really stand their ground well. The sandbags are all but gone for Suzuku. This is an uphill battle for the blue team. That said, they've got their climbing gear on, and they've almost tied it up. 65% is the number to beat, and they will hit it and move past it. Reject have to just find the kills, having an issue doing so.
They still stand their ground, though. Milkrio on the right side takes one big fat beat of the face. Suzuku peeks around that corner on the left side to take advantage of it. A jump in from a Choppy, and he's ready to pinch from the right side. Could be a jump in as well. Minmi now on the left side, a takedown to Dimsy. Reject, they own this point. Milkrio and Suzuku can try and push in, but it simply is not enough firepower, and soon enough, Reject, they take this game and move on to a match point.
Man, this is, I feel almost like reverse caster cursed. The composition here, I maintain if they had put any brawler that can either be tanky and stand their ground, or maybe support area denial like classic that we usually see, these sandbags go down way too quickly and way too early to be the entire strategy here for Aphelion. And so even when they're able to walk on in here, great stuff out of Milk. Reject just re-engages and winds up wiping them. Aphelion, I don't want to be
we talk sandbags. Yeah.
All you, man.
Well, when we talk sandbags, I mean, it's my thoughts exactly. You can't lean too hard on the green button. because you only have it a few times per game, and so far, Aphelion Esports looks like they've been pretty hesitant to use it, and it's certainly coming back to bite them. Reject are going to usurp their lead in terms of percentage so far. Minmi back in this cannon on the right side. Suzuku is armed with those sandbags once again, but he needs to use them as sort of a team effort to collectively push in. Rattled Hive getting some tiny amounts of damage there on Dimsy. Still not anything seriously devastating. Big shots on Suzuku, though. Can break open a wall. Can offer a power up to a teammate, but it's still going to be tough because they haven't even stepped foot on this point.
Suzuku being forced to use the sandbags off of the point is devastating and might just be what wins Reject the game. Again, this is fantastic job from Reject. They were given an opportunity and they took it and ran with it. Not only do they find themselves winning in the semifinals, they find themselves winning here in the monthly finals. A beautiful look here, 3-1. They get it done. Reject, the opposite of the namesake.
Seriously, so? I mean, look, they changed their own name. I'm pretty sure Reject isn't an org, so they can just decide it's whatever they want. Don't want to change your name too often, but look, so far this month, all I'll say is we saw the name change teams take the win. So maybe it's a recipe for success.
Please don't change names.
This is true.
Stop changing your
Makes
names.
it a lot.
Reddy is lying.
Makes it
He's
harder
giving you
for
poor
us.
advice. Don't change your name.
Look, I mean,
Let's look at the rearview mirror.
I mean, look. Slap a fresh coat of paint on things sometimes, and the aesthetics can boost you a little bit. Do I think that's what happened here? No.
But it's about building consistent brand identity and creating a situation that the fans can relate to.
Don't listen.
Ready, set. You're muted. Great job here from Reject as they come on through and wind up taking the dub. Aphelion plays well. P.S. Reject is an organization. And Minmi is very, very organized with 6 kills and 190 DPS here in this last hot zone. Again, I think the entire team really brought this win here. Earlier on, I think it was easier to kind of figure out an MVP, but Achapi is going to take home the prize.
Good stuff. Once again, deserved. Choppy 2 times in a row, the MVP for his team. Getting a lot of kills and shutting things down, especially when we talk about that Squeak gameplay, man. If we roll back the footage to look at Sneaky Fields again, I mean, I could watch that all day long. And by that, I mean, I could watch it about like 5 times, and that's saying a lot, actually. Beautiful stuff. I mean, guy really setting an example and splitting off and doing his own thing. For a good reason, they take first place within their home region.
Great stuff. Also, Kenny's here. He's great stuff.
I appreciate it. I mean, what a match we had on our hands. I think this is just an interesting month. I think the totem pole of EA is not what I thought it was. I think these teams are a lot more evenly matched than I gave them credit for initially, and I really don't know what to believe. The leaderboard, though, for sure going to be shook up here.
I mean, listen, I've been high on a choppy stock for a long time, so the totem pole is now the toldom pole, because I've been telling y'all to watch out for a choppy. And so Reject and his squad come on through and take down Aphelion Esports after dealing with Chasmac Gaming in a 3-0. I think the match that we really need to talk about, though, is that one that you guys were casting earlier, Aphelion versus Crazy Raccoon, last year's champions. Not feeling it here, as Aphelion Esports just looking clean until the finals.
Beautiful stuff.
Leaderboard coming at you.
Headed into leaderboard.
Reject has usurped Crazy Raccoon here, so the #1 team in East Asia ready is no longer Chatampo. It is Achapi and Reject.
And this is contrary to a lot of our predictions too, but hey, I'm all here for some shakeups and some domestic competition, because once again, this is the kind of stuff that produces good competitors to represent your region on the world's stage. We certainly have some front runners in mind, Reject topping that list for now, especially as far as points.
Great stuff here. Again, I think when it comes down to the big picture and the global play, that you have to keep looking at these leaderboards. We have new regions that are still starting to figure out their identity, and we have ancient regions that everything is being shaken up with anyway. So always a lot of fun to watch. We always have a lot of fun here watching our games, and so we have one of the best moments of the day. Kenny, play of the day. We do it every single time here. Take us away.
Yeah, I mean, play of the day, depending on which perspective you look at here. Sometimes we're introducing a new segment called Not Play of the Day. Sergeant, all the gems in his hand, on his spawn side, slide, all the way down the map. 5 seconds to go, though, still plenty of time, and even a respawn coming through. Yash with the tag, Abhishek with the tag, and even though he's a champion, there's only so much we can criticize. It's good to look back and see that we are all human. We can make mistakes. Revenant Esports making the play of the day for Marcos Gaming. You never know what you're going to see. A fun moment for sure, and obviously congratulations. We love to have some fun, and insane player. It's nice to make me feel a little bit better about me being significantly worse than him.
I mean, it's great because you see, all right, easy, 5 set, 4 set. Where you go? Where you going? That's the wrong way. Hey, Stu, come back. That was very fun to watch. I really enjoyed that. Like, straight up and down, definitely one of the more memorable moments here at our monthly finals. Very fun kind of looking at a lot of the different regions. I also think that's a shout out to everybody putting together our tournament, because I love having our region, our sub-region, and getting a chance to see SEA, East Asia, and India all in one show. Very, very cool, because a lot of dynamic regions there, Eddie.
Absolutely. I mean, these are sort of the individual dojos within this giant mega region. And it's great to see, especially with India, becoming its own region this time. We get to see one of the largest portions of the Brawl Stars community now represented in esports in their own dojo. And we get to see these Indian players really fight their hearts out. It's a fantastic region. I always love watching it. And it's great to see some things that shake up when we talk about East Asia, the region that's produced the last 2 World Finals champions. I mean, it only gets more exciting from here.
Upset after upset after upset. And I'll tell you, I'm not upset about it. This is what we've come to expect here at the Brawl Stars monthly finals. It's been a blast, and it is very, very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Kenny and Reddy. You guys are killing it. Shout out to everybody behind the scenes as well. But of course, most importantly, shout out to y'all out there in chat. We've got EMEA coming at you at 8:10 UTC. You don't want to miss a lick of it. I'll see you there in chat. Peace, and much love to you. Well, this is how I expected this comp to go. Just, as we say in the biz, hold W, You're just walking forward. Beat, dude.
This is going to be a real test for him here, too. Trishant, not in robot form anymore, but does manage to get this kill. Clock is ticking. They're already at 95%. No Marcos Gaming players in sight. Creo with a nice shot coming in there. Moya Goku, only one standing for funsies, but it's actually a misplay. There's still hope. Super pass forward, not chancing. Drop it in the goal, brother. End it here.
But Chasmac Gaming EA still have yet to find out exactly how to play into it. Levi surprises things on the left side. Melty taken down by that one shot from Levi. Down goes Kenji, and Kuru's the lifeline for this team. Everyone descends upon him. He even tries to escape, but it's not even possible.
Suzuku being forced to use the sandbags off of the point is devastating and might just be what wins Reject the game. Again, this is fantastic job from Reject. They were given an opportunity and they took it and ran with it.